All right, welcome everybody. This is Stacy Hyland, the Business Optimizer Coach. We're jumping into low-hanging fruit strategies to rapidly increase sales. It's 10 proven strategies to grow your business quickly. Now, I've actually added a bonus strategy in here, so I hope you guys will stick with me and appreciate the extra strategy to increase your business. For those of you who don't know me, I have some people on the call that are new today, as well as some people that are already clients of mine. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on me. I have been coaching entrepreneurs for over a decade, and I really enjoy working with small business owners. I actually got started with my first business when I was in 3rd grade, when I started selling, and then I started my first B2B, business-to-business selling, when I was in the 5th grade. So as you can tell, I've been doing this for a long time. And you know, I came from a very entrepreneurial family and sales-oriented family, obviously, to start working that soon in sales. And what happened is that I went into sales, and I sold a bunch of different things. I was always a top performer at whatever I was selling. But in my last sales job, what happened was I started helping the people that I was selling the equipment to with their businesses, because I wanted to be able to have them pay off their equipment more quickly. So it was a win-win. And I started helping them with some of the strategies that we're going to be talking about today. And one of the very first people I started working with increased her sales 200% from these strategies. So that's what got me interested in coaching and consulting and being able to help the business owners, because I saw that a lot of business owners, they get into business because they love what they're doing and they have a skill that they want to do, but they don't have the business skills necessarily to be able to grow their business. So that's what I love doing. So I started getting some training on that. And as some of you may know, I now also work with Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins. Yes, the Tony Robbins who walks on fire. So that's been kind of a dream come true, and I've been working with his company to help people double their sales as well. So that's a little bit about me professionally. What motivates me in terms of helping entrepreneurs to also not just grow their businesses, but also still have a life, and that's one of the things I really like about these low-hanging fruit strategies, is they're very simple and very easy to do. And the reason why is because when my dad was 56, he passed away, and even though he was super successful, he never had a chance to really do the things that were on his bucket list, that were his dreams. And so I want to be able to have my clients and myself as well be able to enjoy life as well as just growing a business. So that's where we want to make things simple and easy so that you get results. Now, for those of you that are on the call live, I suggest that you turn off your phone, not the one that you're listening on, but your cell phone. Also, turn off your email, close any other windows on your computer while you're watching the webinar. And then also get out some paper, because there's going to be some things that you're going to say, wow, I want to implement that, I want to do that. You want to be making a list as you're going along. A lot of times when I go to seminars, one of the things that's the most useful for me is to start a sheet of what I'm going to implement right away, an action sheet, and even things that I'm going to delegate, so that way I don't have to go back through all of the notes to know what I wanted to, and I can remember everything. The other thing is to keep a list of questions, so that when we get to the Q&A at the end, that you know exactly what you want to ask me. Now, if there's something that's really urgent that you want to ask me, feel free to type it in there, and hopefully I'll see it as we go along. Or if there's ever a problem that you can't see the screen or hear me well, then you can always type that in as well. All right. Okay. So let's get started. Oh, the other thing for the housekeeping is just to know that we are going to take a break, so we're not going to do all 4 hours without taking a break. Probably around 1:30, so Eastern time, so in about an hour and a half or so. All right, so let's jump in and get some stuff to grow your business. All right, so here's what we're going to learn today. first of all, before we jump into the low-hanging fruit strategies, we're going to learn what are the biggest mistakes to avoid if you want to grow rapidly. Because a lot of times what happens is if you're not stopping the mistakes that you're making, the things that you're doing to increase your business aren't going to stick. So I want to go over a few of those with you so that you can clean those up and stop doing them. And then we're going to jump into the quick and easy low-cost strategies to rapidly increase your sales. Now, when I chose these strategies, we wanted to look at things that were quick and easy to implement, also that don't cost a lot of money to implement, and you don't need a big team to implement. So there's a very, all of these things that we're going to be talking about today, no matter how big your company is, you should be able to get these done, and you should be able to do it very quickly. All right, so let's look at, now I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, both through Business Optimizer Coach, also with working with Tony Robbins. And these are the things that I'm seeing over and over and over again. Now, what was happening is before the recession, people were making these mistakes, but it wasn't costing them as much money. There were sales being made no matter what. So the world was a little bit more forgiving. But once the recession hit, then what happens is that these mistakes amplified, and you were seeing that they were hurting you more. So you were probably making them all along, but when there's a downside in the economy, you see it. So the first mistake that I see all the time is lack of strategic planning. And, strategic planning is something that people might see as boring or not directly tied to business growth right away. But what happens is most of the business owners that I start working with when they come to coaching for me one-on-one is they're in a very reactive mode. So what that means is that they're always running around putting out fires. Yesterday, a new client just said, I feel like there's a ball, and I'm, before I was chasing to get the ball, and now the ball is bouncing all over the place, and he doesn't even know where it's going to go, and he's just trying to catch it. So it's very important to have that strategic planning so that you know exactly what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and which things are the most important things to be working on. Another example this week, I had a client that when he came to me a few weeks ago, he really wanted to work on hiring more employees. And, that was his number one thing all throughout all of the intake questionnaires and everything. He said, hiring, hiring, hiring. I want you to help me hire a superstar. And what happened was when we looked at his whole business and got a bird's eye view of it and were more strategic, that we were able to see that hiring was not his next step. So you want to be able to see what the next step is, and if you don't take a step back, a lot of times you can't see that. There were a few things that we needed to put into place before he could hire. Some of those were sales system, marketing systems, things like that. Mistake number 2 is working in the business instead of on the business. So what that means is working in the business is got to make the donuts. You're the one in there making the donuts. You're the one washing the pans. You're the one putting out the open sign every morning, doing everything. And those are the, a lot of times when people go into business, they're a technician. They know how to do something. They know how to build a website. They know how to do landscaping. They know how to do esthetician skills. What we want to have you do instead is working on the business. You have to shift from being the technician working in the business to being an entrepreneur working on the business, which is a concept that goes into in depth Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. So if you need more information on that, that's a great resource for you. So that's a writer-downer if you haven't read The E-Myth yet. So we want to have you working on the business, on the things to sell more donuts, how to get more clients in the door, how to, doing your marketing, how to improve your employee system. So that's the shift that you want to be looking at making. The third mistake that I see all over the place is a lack of accountability. So, as the entrepreneur, the buck stops here. We are the boss, and that's good news because it gives us the freedom that most entrepreneurs or business owners crave, because they don't like working for someone else, and that's a lot of times why they start their business. Or they have all this passion and they just need to get it out there. But what happens with that, if you don't have any accountability to anyone but yourself, is that you start to not get the most important things done. You stop implementing the things that you should be implementing. And I've had that, quite frankly, I've done that in the past, that I was not implementing I was going to a lot of seminars and doing a lot of things and not implementing. So you need some accountability in place, and you need some tracking in place. As Dr. Stephen Covey says, accountability breeds responsibility. So, it's not just for the people that work for you that you want to have tracking and accountability, but for everybody. And the fourth mistake is that business owners are really focusing on cutting back on the little things in their business. And this is what I call the paperclip method, versus investing your time, energy, and resources on growth. That they're looking at, okay, how many paper clips am I mean, that's a silly example, but it's true. People are focusing on the small things instead of looking at the things in their business that are going to give them the growth they need, the investment that's going to make sense in growing the business. All right, and the fifth is a lack of resourcefulness, and that's me with Tony Robbins. The guy who you see on the infomercials and Walking on Fire, when I went to his Ultimate Business Growth program that I coach for. And the thing that struck me about that event, this was an event that the business owners had spent $20,000 to attend this event. And the biggest thing that I took away from it was probably in the first hour that Tony was speaking. And it was talking about resourcefulness. And he said, when you look at successful people and you compare yourself to them, there's always people that are more successful than you that have gotten there with less resources than you. So he polled the audience and he said, how many of you in here can't get to the next level in your business because you don't have enough time, because you don't have enough money, because you don't have enough staff, and all the people that were raising their hands, and there were only several things that were stopping most people. And what all of those were resources. They needed more resources. They needed more employees. They needed more money. They needed more time. And so, like he said, there's always people that have had less resources. They started with less money. They started with less knowledge than you. They started with less connections than you. And they're able to be more successful, and that's because they're more resourceful. So I want you to start to put on your resourcefulness hat and start to look at everything that you're doing, every challenge that you get, everything with how can I be resourceful about this? Because even with these easy strategies, you're going to see things that you're going to say, oh, I can't do that. I don't have enough time, or I don't have. So the question is, how can I do that? And like Tony says, when you ask better questions, you're going to get better answers. So start asking yourself a better question of how, and that's a good writer-downer. How can I do that? And the sixth thing is not using leverage. So I'm writing a book on this right now, The Power of Leverage, and leverage is getting more out of less. So, whatever you're doing in your business, there's always leverage points that you can use less time, money, and resources to get the same thing done. So I want you to look at the different ways that you can get leverage. Some of the strategies today we're going to talk about will explain how to do that as well. Now, what should you be focusing on? Well, the main focus in your business should be the 20% of your business actions that are going to get you 80% of your results. And that's Pareto's principle, that the 80-20 rule. And what that means is that a lot of times people are focusing on that 80% that are only getting you 20%, because it's usually the 80% that are the louder, the things that are calling you louder. So for example, there's always 20% of your clients that are giving you 80% of your business. So those are the clients you should be focusing on instead of the 80% that are only giving you 20% of the business. Same thing with marketing methods. And we're going to be prioritizing the things as we go through these strategies today and looking at, okay, which one should I do first? Well, before we decide which one, we're not going to just pick the easiest one. We're going to look at, well, which one is going to give you the most bang for your buck? Which one is going to work the best for your business? And this is going to be different for everybody. And the other thing is, since the recession, like we talked about before, a lot of people are cutting back on costs. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't cut back on costs, but you should also be focused on increasing sales. And all of the strategies today that we're doing are focused on increasing sales, which are good. All right, so what is low-hanging fruit? Low-hanging fruit are things that you might be overlooking in your company right now. These are probably things that you might have even thought of in the past, but you aren't doing. They're quick and easy to implement and to get results. So a lot of times when I'm working with a client, we'll start working on some of these low-hanging fruit items first because you're going to get a quick result, that you're going to get a quick burst of clients, a quick increase in cash flow. So they rapidly increase your sales and profits. And then they're low cost or free to implement. Actually, the majority of the things that we're going to talk about today are actually free to implement, which is awesome. And we're very lucky because, right now we have so many ways that we can market and do things for free versus in the, I want to say, the olden days, when people were just doing things in newspapers and actually paying large sums of money for ads and things like that. So we're going to look at the ways that are low cost or free. And the reason why these are the things I've included in this is that if it's hard, people won't do it. So you're going to pick these and you're going to choose which one you're going to start with and you're going to implement. All right. So we want you to be taking advantage of these overlooked opportunities. So look at this low-hanging fruit. The other thing I want you to think about is that right now, don't go looking for other ways to increase your business right now, okay? Don't be starting to think about, okay, I'm going to do a new brochure, I'm going to do a new this or a new that. A lot of times those are busy work. Those are things that people do to stop them from having to do the things that they should be doing, like going out and getting new clients. So what I want you to do is look at what you already have and start optimizing what you already have so that you can get more business that way. All right. Well, there's this simple concept of knowing versus doing. So, I'm always reading fitness magazines and cooking magazines and things like that. Well, I can know a lot about, say, for example, there's magazines that have the fitness competitors and, it has what they eat to be on this cover of a magazine. Well, I'm reading these articles, but I'm not doing it. So I'm not a fitness model yet, nor do I want to be. But the thing is it's a key distinction. If you might be going through these strategies and say, I know that, but the question that you need to ask yourself is, are you using these strategies consistently in your business? And consistently is a key word there. So, I've gone to a lot of marketing seminars and internet marketing seminars, and when I was going to these seminars but not implementing, I wasn't getting very many results, which, as you can imagine, you can't get results unless you're doing it. So we want to have you start doing the things in the class. So you don't want to pick too many. You just want to pick one or two to start with, and then each month you can add on more as you get successful with these. All right, so here's our first exercise, and you should have your workbook. If you don't have your workbook, just get out a piece of paper, and the workbook is going to be a resource for you to look at also after we get off the call. I would suggest not running ahead on us here. What I want to know is how much is a client worth to you? And this is a basic number that you should be tracking. And this is something that I do usually about every 6 months or so in my business. As I look at, how many clients do I have? What are my sales? And then what does that work out to as an average sale? Now, the other thing that you want to look at is the lifetime value. So you can figure out what is the average sale. So when somebody comes into your store, your salon, your business, what do they spend with you? How much do they spend per month, per year, and then the lifetime value. So for example, we'll use $100. So an average sale could be $100. Well, now if that person is buying 2 of those per month, then that would be 200. And then you look at, okay, per year, and then lifetime value. So you want to multiply that out. Now, if some of these strategies are going to be looking at how we can increase this. So this is a good baseline number to do. So I'm going to give you about a minute to figure that out, to get a baseline number, and then we will get started in on the strategies. And if you want to put your, any of you want to put those in the, send those to me, to the organizer, you can send me your number or in the questions. All right. So you should have a number. Now, if this number is not exact, which is what you might be thinking right now, let's just use an average and a guesstimate. You know, this doesn't have to be the exact perfect number right now. Let go of that idea that it has to be exact if you don't know what it is exactly. And just choose a number that you feel might be close. But then after we get off this call today, I want you to write down that on your action step to actually go out and figure this. And this exercise is in your workbook as well. The other thing to look at is how many new clients do you want or need to add this month? And that should be simple to add. And then what we're going to do is you're going to pick the strategies as we go along of which ones you're going to implement. All right, so we are going to jump into strategy number 1. All right. All right, strategy number 1 is the upsell. Now, this is one of those strategies that you might have heard of before. It's very simple. So the question is, do you know it, or are you doing it, and are you doing it consistently? And do you have a process in place for this, for all of your different products? And I'm seeing some people, their numbers coming in, so thank you. So some people are around $48 per client. I see a few people here in the hundreds, some in the thousands. So it depends on, again, your average sale price, what you can afford to do for marketing. So that's an important number to know and tracking. All right. So an upsell is offering your clients additional products or services at the point of sale and before they complete the order. Now, these can be complementary services or even more expensive products and services. Now, the thing I love about this technique is that you can bring in extra business revenue without any additional expense. So the great thing about that is that this is all for the most part, a lot of these are all profit or very high profit margin because you've already done the work, you've already done the marketing, you've already spent all the money on marketing to get that client in the door, you've already done the sales work. You know, if you have salespeople, they've done the work to bring the client in. And now what you're doing is you're taking your order that might have been $100 or $50 or $1,000, and you're increasing what they're spending with you. So let's look at some examples. And then through all of the strategies, I'm going to be giving you some examples. I'm going to be giving you steps to implement and also you know, some client examples to see how people have already done it. All right, so this is the most famous example of all, and that is McDonald's. Those little fries look very familiar, don't they? Everybody knows those yummy French fries. And McDonald's, you know, right when it was probably when I was young, a kid. I don't know if it was a kid or just younger, but they always used to say, "Do you want fries with that?" And that was an upsell from back in the days that when you used to go to McDonald's, you used to just get a burger and maybe a drink. And what they started doing is asking if, do you want fries with that? And so then now McDonald's sells trios because people got so used to when they go to McDonald's, you don't just get a sandwich. You get a sandwich with the fries, with the drink. So it's a trio. So that's a very simple example. And it's simple and easy for you to implement. And you might think, well, I don't sell French fries, so what can I sell? We're going to look at that. So here's an example of a client that I worked with. Now, hopefully this guy was in a worse place than you are when I started working with him. It was in a recession, and his store was hit hard by both the recession, and he also, combined with the recession, he was hit with several new low-priced competitors. So big box stores had moved into it, where he used to be pretty much the only game in town. He started getting these big box stores that were, slashing prices and had a lot more selection and all of that. So he was in a pretty rough place. Now, the other thing with this client that was a little challenging and different from most clients that I've worked with is that most of his employees had been with the company for over 40 years. It was a family-owned business. He had several of his employees were 80 years old or over. And other ones were family members. They were nephews and uncles. And what had happened is he had tried everything to grow. And he had tried doing some training and things like that. But his staff was not really cooperative. It was definitely a case of trying to teach old dogs new tricks. But because it was when I first spoke to him, the first time we had a call, I thought, oh, well, we're going to just have to go in there and, get rid of, some staff and cut the fat and really, get some people in there that are willing to work and want to learn. But what happened was, because it's a small town, he refused to fire his staff because a lot of them were family. I didn't know they were family members when I heard how terrible the staff was. And he said, I just won't be able to hold my head up in church if I do fire them. So now we had to get a lot more creative of how we were going to grow this company, because he had some people there that were not willing to do anything, and he wasn't willing to fire them. So here's what we did. So what we did is we created an upsell system for his most profitable product. And the results were amazing. His sales were up 40% in just 1 month compared to the same month pre-recession. So it wasn't just that the sales were up and he was in a recession. They were up even compared to the pre-recession numbers. So he was absolutely thrilled with that. All right, so here's how you do it in you and your business. So get out your paper. This is time to get to work. Here's what the steps are. First of all, I want you to make a list of the top 20% of items that you sell. So the key to being successful with this is not to do an upsell for everything that you sell. Because what's going to happen if you do that is that it's going to take you too long, it's not going to be successful, and you're going to get burned out, and you'll probably even get burned out before you even launch it. So that's why, again, just like that 80-20 rule, we want to focus on the top 20% of the items that you sell. So you want to make a list of those items, and then we're going to pick one. So pick one or several of your most popular items that you sell, and determine what would be a good upsell for that product. So anybody want to give me an example of one of their top products, then we could play with it. So if you want to, you can type it in the questions section there. I'll give you another example from one of my clients, and what he did is he was doing billboards. He was selling billboards. Now you might think, oh, billboards, how the heck are you going to give a upsell on a billboard, right? Because it's a big product. I mean, people don't, it's just a strange thing to try to think of an upsell for it, right? So billboard was his #1 product he was selling. What we actually looked at was adding a lighting package for that billboard. So now you could have a billboard, but they would also add an early bird and a night owl lighting package for your product. Now some people wanted the early bird package, and some people wanted the night owl package, and some of them wanted both. So it easily increased his sales. And I see some people are typing in here some of the things that they're doing for an upsell. That's cool. So look at what could be an upsell. It could be something very creative. And then you want to write a written process for this, create a written process. So when he was doing the lighting package, what we did is we looked at what is the script for this. So we're selling the regular billboard, and the reason why people are selling the billboard is to get visibility and to drive prospects and clients to their store. So we said we had some yes questions in there, which we're going to talk about all throughout today's class. Of, you know, are you looking to get more leads and get more clients to your store? Well, what we've determined is that there's obviously a lot of traffic on this highway in the early mornings for the commute and late night, and where you know that in the winter especially it gets dark early. We've found that our additional lighting packages make a good add-on to help you get more visibility. So he created the written process, and then we trained his staff so that they knew exactly what they were saying. Now the next thing is to make sure you're implementing this consistently. So we tracked how many people were implementing and what their results were, and then we kept retraining on this. And that's very important, that you don't just tell them one time. I mean, that's one of the things that I see business owners struggle with a lot. And I was actually coaching a guy who was a leadership coach, and he said, really, a lot of the part of him coaching leaders was helping leaders understand that part of the challenge of leadership is that not everyone is like you. So we think because we're extremely motivated, we find it easy to talk to people, we want to help people the most we can, that we want to sell more products. We think everybody else is like that because we're the business owner. Well, the truth is, the person that's working with us, they are not a business owner, so they're not as motivated as we are. So that's where you have to go back and retrain and track the implementation so that you make sure that you get the cooperation that you want on this. All right, and then the last step on that is to reward for increased sales. Okay, so, you know, and maybe you make some, you could make a contest. You could have a bonus, like little surprise bonuses even, that, you know, when people do the upsell and they make so many of them, that you're going to give them a little fun reward. And they don't have to be big things. I mean, it could be tickets to the movies. It could be a Starbucks card. It could be, you know, dinner out, whatever, you know, it depends on that number that we started with, whatever your average sale is. Somebody whose average sale is $50 is not going to have the same reward as somebody whose average sale is $1,000. So what I want you to do is do the exercise on this. And we're just going to take a little bit of time right now, but I want, again, you're going to continue working on this after our class. So the first thing I want you to do is make a list of the top 20% of the items you sell. And you'll see a space for that in your workbook. And most of you know those pretty much off the top of your head. So go ahead and write those down. All right, so you should have a list of the top 20% of the items. Now what I want you to do is look at what would be a good upsell for a product. And just take one of the products right now and think about what you could add on to that. So for example, if it's a manicure, it could be a hand treatment. If it's you're doing landscaping for somebody, it could be a lighting package or an irrigation package. If it is a website, it could be videos that people need to have done. Now, this is a, when you're looking at what you can upsell, what you want to keep in mind is that you're not just upselling them something just to sell them something else. You're looking at what would serve the client, what would make what they're doing easier, what would help them reach their goals, what would help them fulfill all of their needs. All right. So now you should have your number one product that you want to, or whichever one is in the top 20% that you find an upsell for. And you should have some idea of what you might be able to sell them. Now, you might need to brainstorm on that a little bit more after the call. If so, put it on your action steps to make sure that you're doing it. And you can go back to your workbook afterwards and keep working on that. All right, so now we're, like we said, is that it's not just about coming up with the idea for the upsell. It's also about the implementation, because without the implementation, it's not going to do your company any good at all. So let's look at what you're doing here. So what I want you to do is to make sure you're tracking at this. So for example, if you're upselling 30% of the time in the first week, what's happening in the second week? Because a lot of times what I see happen when people are doing coaching with me is that they come back, after we've developed their upsell program, and they're so excited because they've tracked the results. And their results are that they, for example, that they increased sales by 30%. They got 30%. If you had 10 people taking a service or product, 30% of them, or 3 people, purchased the upsell. Now, what happens is then they come back for their next coaching session, and I'll say, well, how's the upsell going? And that's where the breakdown occurs. And that's why your business might not be growing as fast as you'd like, is because you start things and then you get really excited about them at first, and then you fall off. It's just kind of like dieting and exercise. People start a program and they, start eating vegetables and salad and, not eating bread, and they're doing great. That's the first week. The first week they've lost 2 or 3 pounds. Well, what happens by the second week? Well, they start, cheating. They stop tracking. So that's where I want you to be very conscious of, what's happening the second week. What's happening the second month? Are you still getting the 30% upsell? And if you're not, you want to look at, is there an increase or is there a decrease? And you might look at, number one, see if the upsell is being offered every time. And you might also look at, if there's an increase, what are the people that are getting the upsells on your staff doing well? So for example, you're always going to have people that are superstars. Well, hopefully you have some people that are superstars. But what you want to do is you want to look at how are they doing the upsell process, because you can even increase the efficiency of this process by looking at what the people that are getting the best results on your team are doing and incorporating that into the process. Have they found a way of saying it that works better? Have they found a better time to ask? So those are some things to look at. And then third, remember, you want to reward your staff for increased sales. And then if you work by yourself, give yourself a reward, because I think it's really important to encourage the things that you want in your business. All right. So now some of you might be selling online, and you might be saying, well, how the heck do I do that? I understand if I give a manicure, if I'm doing landscaping, or if I'm selling something. How do I do that if I have a online business? Now, some of you might have a physical business, but also an online component. So here's some ways to do the upsell. Now, I love this strategy, because what you can do is when people are buying, you can offer an additional product, service, or an upgrade. So some of the best examples of this are GoDaddy and Amazon.com. Now I'm going to show you a few screenshots of GoDaddy. But Amazon, they're great because, for example, if you're looking at the book say the 4-Hour Work Week. And if you're looking at that book, they'll also show you other books that you might like. And they'll say, people that bought this also bought that. So they're giving you suggestions. So some of the things to think about with your small business is to look at some of the things that very fast-growing companies like GoDaddy and Amazon are doing and how you can incorporate that into what you're doing. All right, so let's look at, we're going to look at some examples here to give you some ideas. All right, this is an online upsell. So for example, you have gone on to GoDaddy and you've chosen a domain name, and they're saying, stop, you found a great domain. Now protect your name, increase your traffic, and more. There's the benefit for the client. So they're doing something that they feel is also of benefit. So one of the things that they're trying to encourage people to do is buy, and this was just a funny website name we put in there, xhtmlchallenge.com, is they're saying you should also get the .net, the .org, and the .info products. Because if you have a Bob's Garage, you don't want somebody else to have bobsgarage.net. Now, I don't really agree with the .org and the .info and all of that, but the Mobi, like that's the mobile site, so some of the things are, you can add these packages on. So, and they've made it into a nice package so that you can get all 3 of these for, I'm going to see if I can draw on here. Hold on one sec. So you can see that you get all 3 of these for just $15. And for this, they make you a nice package. You get all 5. So that's another thing to think of when you're doing an upsell, is to look at how you can do this, that you're doing a little package together. So that makes it even more attractive for people. All right. And then we're going to, this is not the only upsell that they do. So when you go through GoDaddy, they take you through pages and pages of upsells because they know that you're buying a domain, and this could be a time that is really, you know, you're hot to trot, you're a hot buyer. So you can see here, you're buying the .com. They're trying to get you to buy the .com, the .net, the .info, the .org. They're also trying to get you to get additional privacy on here, and then they're looking at getting you to extend the term. So that's another way that you can do an upsell, is to not just get somebody to buy one of your products, but to buy a subscription of your product. So you're extending the amount of time that they're spending money with you. So that's another great little tactic that you can use. All right. Now, like I said, a good way to do this is to put things into packages. So you want to look at, all right, well, what can you do for a package? Here's my regular thing. I'm just buying a domain name. They've now extended the length of my domain registration. Here, this is a drop-down box. So what they've done is they've said, hey, buy it for 5 years. And then if you want to only buy it for 1 year, you have to use the drop-down box to see the other ways to do it. Getting a certified, add hosting, add email. You can see that. And then they show how the different packages are, you know, what you get with the different things. So they're they're like the king of the upsell. So great website. Even if you don't buy your domain, it's good to go on there and just poke through and see what they're up to. Again, they're adding. Now you're in the shopping cart. Okay, so now this is what we call a one-time only offer. And what this does is it takes the heat of the moment of buying, and you're saying, okay, I'm not offering this to you any other time. You're just getting it shopping cart only offer. So that means I'm not going to see these anywhere else on their website. So this is a good thing to think of. Is, you know, where could you add a shopping cart only offer? Now, even if you don't have a website that you're selling on, you can still do a one-time only offer if you have a physical product. That, you know, if you're buying this, you're going to get that with it, but only at this price right now today. Okay? So really good example. Fun to see how they do that. Now that you've seen this, it's like the white Toyota. That as you've seen the you've bought a white Toyota. Now you're going to start seeing white Toyotas everywhere you go. So the same thing for upsells. You're going to see this all over the place. And it's funny because my stepdaughter, she works at a convenience store, and now she works at the pharmacy. And I would love to see her play with this and see how she could get recognized by her boss to say, oh, would you let, we have candy, or, get people to buy something other than just what they're buying. So there's, have fun with this and see how you can add things on. So now here's where the money part comes in, is that you want to start to monetize. Everything you're doing in your business, you should be monetizing. So what that means is, show me the money. What is the result or estimated result that you can have from this strategy? Now, when I do this with coaching clients, we're going to look at the whole picture and then help, I'll help them choose what they need to work on. But because we're doing this in a big group, I wanted you to have a way to be able to see what things you should be working on, what are the top 20% of the things that you need to do to get 80% of the results. Okay? So let's see. What's your average sale currently, which we talked about already. Put that in there. Then look at your upsell offer. So what is the upsell that you're going to do dollar-wise? So if your average sale is $100 and you're adding on something that's $15 or $20, put that in there. Then estimate how many upsells do you think that you can do. And you can base it on a week or a month or a year and draw out those numbers. So if you have 10 upsells a week, how much would that be worth to you? If you have 40 per month, if you have, I'm not even going to do the math in public on the per year, but you can do it times the month times 12. And I guess it would be $4,800. So you're looking at $5,000 right there. But what you want to be able to see is that's just a very tiny, simple strategy that you could put, say, $5,000 in your pocket on that. So I'd love to see in the questions what kind of numbers that you have for your upsell monetization. I'll give you a minute to play with those numbers. And I'm going to take a sip of water. All right, so you should have some numbers in this. Now, the thing that you want to look at is, the first upsell you might think of might not be the right upsell. So that's where the tracking also comes in. So you can look at, all right, well, if I offer this onto what I'm currently doing, what would the numbers be? Now, if I offer this other thing on what I'm currently offering, what would the upsell be? Now, you don't want to upsell like GoDaddy that you're doing thousands of upsells at once because people get a little annoyed and aggravated. You want to do one at a time, and you can see how the different screens, they were kind of, you're adding that to the shopping cart, then you go to the next screen and add something to the shopping cart. But you really want to test one upsell at a time to see how they work. But play with the numbers here on this sheet and look at a few different upsells that you could offer and see what one would be the best strategy for you. All right, excellent. So that is strategy number 1, the upsell. So let's go on to this next strategy and see. I think you've already, from just one strategy, you can see how you can increase your sales for years to come. All right. So strategy number 2 is reactivation of past clients. And this is something that I usually do with one-on-one coaching clients because it's an area of profits that are leaking right out the door at you. And there's several different places that you can do that. But the good thing about reactivating your past clients is that they already like, know, and trust you. They've already done business with you, right? So you've already done all the work to build the rapport, to get them interested, and all of that. But the problem is that it's not your client's job to remember you. It's your job to make the clients remember you. So a lot of times this happens through attrition, that you just have stopped marketing to them. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we go on. And a lot of times they've just forgotten about you. So what you want to do is you want to have some systems in place to do a reactivation, and we're going to talk about how to do that. And when you do this, what happens is even if they don't buy from you again, even if you put this reactivation strategy in place and they don't buy from you right away, you've deepened the amount of rapport you have. You've also created top-of-mind awareness. So they're thinking of you the next time they're thinking of whatever it is that you sell. Okay? So let's look at, you know what, I'm going to give you an example of, this is a really painful example. And this was a guy that I started coaching, and, you know, in one of his coaching calls, he missed his coaching call, which is very rare that people, you know, don't show up for their coaching call. And I said, you know, like, why did you cancel your call at the last minute? And he said, well, I actually had to, you know, take this other call because I had this sale coming in. It was a $100,000 sale. Now, $100,000 is nothing to sneeze at, no matter how big your business is. And what had happened was, I said, wow, congratulations, that's so exciting that you just got a $100,000 sale. And he said, well, actually, it's a really bad story, but, you know, he was embarrassed to tell me. And the reason why he was embarrassed to tell me was that the sale that he made for $100,000 was a prior client. So this was a client that he had had for years, and the client had just stopped buying from him. He was a printer, and he had gone to another printing company in the town and started working with them. And so he hadn't been working with this client. I think off the top of my head, it was like a few years that the client had been gone. And nothing had been done to reactivate the client. The printer hadn't done anything to make the client mad or, you know, make them angry and go elsewhere. But the reason why they got this $100,000 business back was because the print job was too big for the client's new printer. And the new printer said, oh, well, I can't do that job, but I know a company that can process that job for you. So they referred this old client back to my client. And so it just shows that this client, he didn't remember the first printer that was my client. You know, he had chosen another source. And so it's your job to make those clients remember you. And so this, even though it was a really painful example for him, I thought it was a great example, because, especially because the number was so big, that it's something that I can use with all of my clients to illustrate that those are out there. They're buying what they're doing, you know, whether you're doing massage or landscaping or web design, or you're an attorney or an accountant, they're buying it somewhere. So what you want to do is keep that top of the mind awareness. All right, so who are you going to reactivate? Now this is, in certain industries, this is very common that people do this. So for example, in the medical profession, this is something that's very standard, that people reactivate. So for example, if you go to a dentist, you know, any of their past patients, they're going to, if you haven't come in for a dental cleaning for a certain amount of time, you're going to get a little postcard with a toothbrush on it. I'm sure you've gotten one of those before. You're going to get a call from the lady at the front desk saying, you know, you're due for a cleaning. They have systems in place for that, and that's how they keep their practice growing. But most other businesses, other than dentists, chiropractors, and such, don't have any reactivation process in place. So what I want you to look at is, what is the time period that if somebody hasn't been in, that you're going to try to reactivate them. So for example, a car dealership, most people, you know, you look at how often they, when are they due for an oil change? When are they due for, you know, a new car? Now if somebody has a lease on a car, it's very simple, because they know when the lease expires, and you can start to market to that person again. But every company has a certain amount of time, usually, that you can get people to come back and do something else with you. And it could be, you know, a few weeks, it could be a few months, it could be a few years. So it just depends on what it is that you're doing. But there is that time limit, so you want to find out what that is. So past clients, and then also online customers and clients. And these are usually people whose credit cards have expired. So for example, I belong to a lot of different programs where I'm on a subscription for business marketing materials and things like that I pay monthly. And what will happen is my credit card will expire, or in the past I've had my credit card numbers cloned, so I have to get a new credit card. And what happens is, I lose that subscription. And it's because of the fact, it's really basically laziness, because, when that happens, how many different things do you go have to change? And so what happens is that you're like, oh, I just don't have time to deal with it right now. So it's just attrition through the laziness of the customer, and also the fact, laziness of the business owner, that they're not going after those credit cards that have expired, because those are clients that they were happy with you last month. They've been buying from you for a long time, but they just don't have, they haven't renewed because of their credit card. So you want to have a process in place for that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. All right, so let's look at the different ways that you can reactivate clients. The first way, the most inexpensive way, the easiest way, is through an email campaign. So you can look at what you can send them. We'll dig into that a little deeper. Email campaign, phone calls, or a direct mail campaign. Now the third one, a direct mail campaign, that actually does have a cost associated with it, but it is very effective. So you can do a mix of these. I always talk about stacking your marketing. So that's something that you want to look at. So if you're a one-man army and you don't have a lot of time, email is obviously, you can get a lot of leverage out of that because you can send it to more than one person at a time. The phone, that's a little bit more time involved, but it does get good results as well. So it depends on whether you don't have time, you do have time, and you do have money, of which way you want to do it, or a combination of the three, which is what I would suggest for the best way to do it. All right, so here's what you do. First of all, you want to create a list of your past clients that you want to call or put on this reactivation process. Now, one of the things where I always train people on how to work with their perfect clients, if there's people that you have on your list that were a client, but they were a crappy client that you don't want to work with them again, don't put them on the list. Don't feel like, and this goes back to the whole thing of, building a business that you love, building a business that gives you energy, that you have fun in, is that you don't want to, put a bunch of crappy clients that didn't pay their bills, that they were behind, they were late for their appointments. You want to make sure that you only put your fun and perfect clients on there. So that is an action step for you. Second thing you want to do is you want to create a script of what you're going to say to them, or, obviously if you're going to email or direct mail, what you would write to them. You want to ask them questions. You want to interact with them. You want to ask rapport building questions, and also ask them questions that they can't say no to, which is what I call yes questions, because if they're not saying no, they're saying yes. So something like this is, you could say, let's pick a business that we could use. All right, so let's say you have a spa, and you have a client that has done massage with you in the past, and they haven't been in with you to see you for a while. So you could say something like, "Hi, Bob. I'm calling because I noticed that you haven't been in here for a massage lately. I was just wondering how you're doing. Are you still playing hockey, or are you off for the summer?" Those are some rapport building questions, right? And the more you know about your clients, and the more you get to know and develop a relationship with them, the easier that will be. And then you say, well, let me ask you a question. Do you like having your back in shape so you can start golf? So you're feeling, do you want to improve your golf score? And if they're a golfer, they would all say yes to that, right? Well, what was found is that, golf massage is great for golfers, because in golf you're using a lot of muscles that you haven't used all year. You haven't even known that you had until you start going and playing 18 holes of golf. So what we have, and this is the next slide, is to give them something that might interest them. So you might say something like, "Bob, we have a summer golf massage package. And what this is for golfers or anybody, any sport that you do in the summertime that you don't do in a long time. It might be that you're bicycling and you're bent over your bicycle, or gardening. You know, you can make it for different things, but a summer sports special. And this is the package that we have. It's a massage with blah, 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 and you tell them what the components are for them. Now, you want to have this all developed before you get on the phone with them or before you do the email. But some of the ideas are returning client only special. So it could be, Bob, you know, we haven't seen you for a while, and so you know, we would love to see you again and help your back feel better. So we have a returning client special. This is just for the month of whatever month it is or whatever time limit. Put a short time limit on it because we'd love to see you come back. And subscriptions are also a good thing. So it could be like we have a special, it could be the golf special that's like one massage a month during golf season. Be creative. I mean, that's one of the other things with business owners. You know, being resourceful and being creative. Have fun with this. Don't just have it be the same old X, Y, Z, A, B, C that people have. Have a package created just for this offer. So, for example, if you're a landscaper and you went out and did landscaping for somebody, you know, add a lighting package and say, you know what, we have a special lighting package for our existing clients. And because you were an existing client, I wanted to, because you do have, you know, it could have been an upsell when you first started, is selling them the landscaping package and then adding the lighting. But now you can have the lighting added on because they're an existing client. So it's another reason to contact them. Again, you want to make sure it's a limited time offer. Another one that you could do is a bring a friend. So, you know, Bob, we haven't seen you for a while, and we have a special for our returning clients, and we'll extend that special also to one of your golfing buddies or one of your hockey buddies or whatever it is. So those are some ideas to get you started. All right, so let's talk about the credit card reactivation. All right, so the credit card reactivation is that you want to start to, you know, before you even have them expire, you want to handle that. But what you want is a series of contact points. So phone, email, whatever, you know, you might even have their phone number to be able to text them and to be able to remind them that their card is expired. Now, one of the things that you want to do is you don't want to just be hounding them for their credit card number because that can be rather annoying and feel kind of crappy. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to assume that their card has expired. You don't want to make them think that they've just maxed out their card and they can't pay you. So what I would do there is you would talk about some of the things that they're going to be missing out of. You know, we've noticed your credit card is expired, and I know that you've enjoyed our service, and you list some of the benefits that they've been receiving and that they would miss out on, and then the cost of stopping your product or service. So if you're not in our such and such program, you will not continue to receive the discounts, or you will not continue to receive our gift packages that we send out every month, whatever it is. So you need to create what they're going to miss and what are the benefits. So you want to make sure that you're very clear on that. Now the other thing is that this is the part that people have trouble on, is that they're not persistent enough. You need to be persistent, and you need to do it even more than you think that you should. So I'm hearing a little scratching in my phone, so if anybody is hearing something bad, let me know in the chat or on the questions. Be persistent, because you're not at the top of their list. They probably have, you know, 10 to 20 things that have expired and they need to fix. And when they bought your product originally is when they have the most, you know, need or want. So their need or want has probably gone down, and so you want to sell them on why they should continue. The third thing, and this is another action step for you, is to put a tickler in place. And what this is that you want to, and some software systems will allow you to do this, so you might want to contact your software company if you have a CRM or something like that, or your shopping cart, is to put a tickler in place to remind you to contact the client before their card expires. So for example, you notice that their card is going to expire next month. You want to let them know so that they can change it before. And in fact, GoDaddy, I think it is really good at this. You know, they're the master of the upsell. They're the master at this too. But I noticed that, you know, when your credit card is going to expire, they're going to send you something and say, hey, I've noticed your credit card that you have all of your, because I have a lot of domains registered. They'll say, you know, some of your domains may not be renewed automatically if your credit card is expired. Please check to make sure that we have the current credit card number. So again, that's a little profit leak that you can plug very, very simply. Now, the other thing that you want to do is make the reactivation a regular and ongoing process in your company. So it's not just one time that you're doing this. You want to do this, you might do it every month, you might do it every 3 months, but you want to keep doing it all the time. So for example, even if somebody, like we just talked about a few minutes ago, is that you want to look at what your cycle is. So the cycle might be that somebody buys something from you every 3 years, like a car or something big. Or it might be that they buy something from you every month. Whatever that cycle is, you should be doing it that often with that person, but it should be going on ongoing because you have lots of different clients that have entered this cycle at different times. So don't just do the reactivation one time a year. Do it ongoing throughout the year with all the people whose anniversaries are hitting at that time of year. All right, so let's monetize this. All right, so what I want you to do is to look at how many clients that you have that have expired or stopped doing business with you, and write that down. And you'll also see a page on this in your workbook. The estimated percentage you think you might be able to convert to a new sale or start doing business with you again. Having a sip of my water. All right. And then the estimated number of new sales, and then the average sale price of whatever you're going to offer to them. And then what would be your estimated profit boost from this strategy? All right, and if you want to plug those numbers in the chat or in the questions, that would be fun to see those. All right, well, let's jump into strategy number 3. All right, strategy number 3 is offer your clients an additional product or service. And you might be saying, duh. You might be saying, I always try to find new products or services to add to my clients, but this is a little bit different. So let's look at how we can do this. All right, so here's a client example. This is where you might have seen on the sign-up page for this is the $100,000 increase in sales. What we did is we looked at his current clients. Now this, again, this was a guy that was in the midst of the recession. He was in an industry, like you can see here in the picture, that is very, you know, in the building and home improvement industry, which obviously was hit hard. And then look at, we looked at what his clients were doing with him and what their needs were, what their other purchases were. So it doesn't have to be something that you're doing, it doesn't have to be something that you're doing with them right now, but something that they need help with. And what they discovered is that his clients had needs that they were currently outsourcing. So they were already they knew that the clients needed this service, and they were outsourcing it, and they were not making a increase in sales on this. So what we did is he said, all right, well, I can do that in-house. And by doing that, he discovered that he could do $100,000 in increased sales. So there's two ways to do this. There's the slow way and the fast way. So this strategy number 3, somebody's asking me that. The strategy number 3 is offer your clients an additional product or service. All right. I don't know why my slide is not turning now. All right, there we go. So there's two ways to do this, the slow way or the fast way. I think actually the girl on the left looks pretty fast. She looks faster than me anyway. Anyway, so we'll look at the slow way or the fast way. Now, most people like to do it the fast way and then add the slow way as well, so that you get a profit boost twice. Now, the first way is that you develop a product or service to offer to your clients or list. And he actually did it the slow way. He said, all right, I'm going to start to offer that product or service to them. The second way is to find a product, that, a company that already has that product that would benefit from your clients or your list, and set up an affiliate or referral fee. One of my mentors said to me, he said, your ability to deliver to your clients what they want or need is far exceeded by the pace by which they can consume it. So that means I spend all this time and effort to create this low-hanging fruit strategy class. It took me tens of thousands, it seems like, of hours. And what happens is, my clients can now have another class on something else once they implement these strategies, faster than I could probably develop a new one. So what I could find is somebody else that has a good class. Say, for example, I have a colleague that does classes on how to do text marketing for clients. So that would be a good example of a product that would benefit my clients that I could then offer to them and just get an affiliate fee or a referral fee for anybody that buys that. And everybody has some things that whether you're an online business or an offline business, you have some things that your clients are already buying. Your list, they always say the money is in the list. Well, you have the list. So what you want to look at is what you can do to monetize that list. All right, so let's look at what you can offer to them. So you want to brainstorm a list of products that might interest your clients. So an example for this would be a web design. Their clients might need video produced. Now, the web designer may or may not know how to produce video, but if they have two different strategies. They can either learn how to do the video for them, because it's a very similar, skill set, or they could find somebody else that does videos and set up an affiliate fee for that. So again, people are going somewhere else to get the video produced already. So what else, it's much better if you put that money in your pocket instead of all of it going somewhere else. So look at what other things that they need. So for example, if you have anything in the home design or anything in the home building industry, there's always things that other things that people are doing. So whether, say you're doing window washing, well, maybe some people need to have their chimneys cleaned, or maybe they need to have their house sprayed off, the power washing, at the same time. So there's other things that you could add that they're not currently buying from you. All right, so create that list of products that might interest your clients. Now get outside, like I said, get outside of your box of what they're already buying from you, and look at what other things that they might have. So for example, I know a lot of spas now are adding injectables like Botox and Restylane and things like that. There's tons of, like for example, some hair salons are bringing in makeup artists, because if people are doing their hair to go to a special occasion, well, they're going to get their makeup done too, so why don't you bring in that makeup artist and have them come do the makeup as well. All right, so let's monetize this strategy. So you're going to need some time to put that on your action list to get out and work on that strategy again as well. But let's look at the monetization of this strategy. So Again, this is all a rough estimate, a guesstimate. What number of clients do you have to contact to offer an additional product or service? So what is the size of your list? Right now you have a list of 100 people or 1,000 people or 30,000 people, whatever it is. Write that number down. Then how many do you estimate that you could convert to a new sale, to buy something, this new product or service? Again, you want to be extremely conservative in this. I'd rather that you be very low than too high. And then what is the estimated number of new sales? And then average sale price. Oops, I see that's over on the left there. So just give a guesstimate. You might not know this number right now, like you're going to add on another product or service. Just put something conservative. Is it $10 that you're getting them to spend? Is it 50, 100, another 1,000, 10,000? It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you can find something. And then what is your estimated profit boost from this strategy? So by now, you're 3 strategies in. You should have some really good numbers to start to see what you can do and how you can increase your business, and very simply too. All right, so we're going to do one more strategy before we take a quick break so that you guys can grab a drink or something. So let's move on to strategy number 4. All right, strategy number 4 is the flip side. Strategy number 4 is to offer your products or services to someone else's clients or list. So the last strategy was you offering something new. And this side, you're going to other people and saying, hey, I want to get in front of your list. I want to get in front of your customers. Now this strategy can be done either online or offline. Now in the online world, this is known as a joint venture or an affiliate relationship. Offline, a lot of times people call this a strategic alliance or referral partners. So here's how we're going to implement this. And I'm going to just grab a sip of my drink. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do is make a list of what types of businesses have your perfect clients. Now, remember, you're focusing on the top 20%. You don't want to be focusing on everybody in your business right now. You're not looking at, if you serve moms, you don't want to say, okay, the PTA. You're looking at, like, what are the best moms that you have on the list? What are the best neighborhoods? Okay, and where did those people go? So if you're serving a demographic area, you could look at what is the demographic area that I serve and what other businesses operate in that same preferred demographic area. Okay, so think of the other businesses, and again, think out of the box here. They're buying other things. What else are they buying? What else do they need? And then the second step is, what could you offer to their list that would be a good fit? So for example, I'm going to flip over the example I gave you. So for example, the woman that does the text marketing, if she was doing this strategy, she could say, oh, well, what types of businesses have my perfect clients? Well, it could be businesses that are already online are her perfect clients probably, or local marketing businesses. What other services are they using? So she might say business coaches, right? Because that would be some people that would have her perfect clients. It could be people that have purchased a CRM, a client relationship management tool. It could be people that are using web designers. So again, those might be her 3 businesses that have her perfect clients. What she could offer is she could offer, say, a class on text marketing. So if I were her, what I would do is I would write a script to approach those businesses. And number 4, keep going until you get a yes. Keep going until you get a yes. So you might not get a yes the first few, but you want to keep going, and you also want to keep approaching them. Don't just approach them one time. Let them know that you're serious. So for example, I'll give you 2 examples. Chet Holmes, who I work with, and I've worked with for a long time now, and I do business coaching for his company as well as mine, he did this, and he said, all right, who has my perfect clients? And the first person was Jay Abraham, who's a leading marketing person. And it took him, I believe it was 7 years to get Jay Abraham to start working with him. Well, once he marketed to Jay Abraham, his credibility boosted dramatically. His other person that he had on his list was Tony Robbins. Well, you know how that turns out because I'm working for both Chet and Tony Robbins. It took him 13 years to get to Tony Robbins and to get Tony Robbins to start talking to him. And then he and Tony put together a program together. But it took a lot of time to get that yes. So you want to make sure that, you can do a mixture of businesses that are like your big kahunas, and you can do the small little ones that are going to say yes more quickly. But do a mixture. Don't just choose the little chicken ones. Don't chicken out and just only approach small businesses. You're going to be surprised about what people are going to say yes to. And then number 5, which is absolutely key, is to do the marketing for them. Now, did I mention you want to do the marketing for them? You want to do all the heavy lifting. Okay, so Tony Robbins has a huge business, and so he's not really interested unless Chet would come and do the marketing for him. So the same thing with when you do this strategic alliance or joint venture. You want to do emails for them, tweets, Facebook status updates, and it doesn't mean that you're going in there and writing, putting them on Facebook for them, but you want to write the content for them. LinkedIn, Pinterest. So if your business is able to do Pinterest, give them Pinterest pictures. Like for example, if you're in landscaping or something like that, home, have pictures with links to the sales page for what you're selling that are attractive. Guest blog posts. So you could do a guest blog post for your strategic alliance partner. And it doesn't matter what industry they're in. Nowadays, a lot of people are having blogs. That's a good way to do it. Do an interview for them. Either interview them or have them interview you and have them share it with their list. Do podcasts. Write the letters for them so that if they're going to send something in the mail, they have something that they can send. Now I'm going to give you an example of one of my clients and what they did. And again, it's all sorts of different scenarios here, all different kinds of industries and niches. This client is an offline example. He was a tire center, and he had a garage. And so what we came up with is who has his perfect clients. So we decided that his perfect clients weren't necessarily the car dealers, because the car dealers already had a garage there, mechanics, so they wouldn't be interested in working with him. But we figured that used car dealers would be perfect, because the used car dealers did not have their own mechanics or their parts department or anything like that. So what we did is we decided to offer a free gift for a used car dealer, and that used car dealer was going to give any of his customers this gift when they purchased a car. So one of the big keys to making this work is to make it win-win. I'm always a big component of make this a win for everybody. So it was a win for my client that he had no marketing costs to get a new client, because the only way he had a cost is if somebody became a new client. So it's not like doing an ad in the newspaper where you're doing this ad and you don't know how many clients you're going to get out of it. He only had a cost if somebody became a new client. And it also built his list. So that was excellent. So even if the person didn't buy right away from him after that free gift, he now had that person on his list, and he could continue to market to them. So there was a much higher chance that they would continue. The strategic alliance partner, which was the used car dealer, the win for him was that it made him look good. You're going to buy a used car, and he's giving you a gift. He's giving something of value to his client. So it made him feel good. It made him look good. It also separated him from his competition. So he went, my client, he went to the best used car dealer in his neighborhood instead of the lowest, the scrap heap used car dealer. Because what he wanted to do is he wanted to work with the person that would make both companies look good. All right. So here's some formats for you to consider. All right. So there's lots of different ways. I mean, the fun thing of this is it's only limited by your imagination of how you can do this. So Simple and easy is an email that they can send to their list. The best thing to request when you're doing this is that they can send a solo email. Sometimes they won't send you a solo email out for you because they have their own things that they're marketing. But if they will, that's the best response. And again, you're going to write that email for them. You can let them reflect their own personality. You can tell them, hey, you can use this email or you can write your own. The most successful ones are the ones that have a lot of personality in them. And an offer. The second thing is to do stuffers. If you're doing this offline, you can do stuffers in mailers. You could do stuffers in catalogs that people are already paying to send out. You could do stuffers in their invoices that they're sending out. So that's a great way because they're already paying to send out the invoices and the catalogs. So if you can just add a piece to it, again, that's a win-win. Direct mail piece, so if they're going to send something on its own, that's another really effective way. Again, there's more of a cost affiliated with that. The fourth thing is to do an event together. You know, if the car dealer is having a sale or something, participate in that sale. Go over there and give away a new set of tires or whatever it is that you do. And then the fifth thing, which is what we did, was to do the gift or the coupon for their clients to use. So you can star any of those that really appeal to you and write those down. And then the next thing is we're going to monetize the strategy. So what are, how many strategic alliance partners do you think you can go after to offer your products and services to? Now, I'm sure there's like a huge number, but be conservative. What's the size of their list? So how many clients do you think that just a guesstimate, because obviously you don't know. Although sometimes in the online world, how many, you can see on their Facebook and things, Twitter and things like that, how many people, so you have an idea of how many people are in their universe. What percent do you think you could convert to a new sale? Again, just a very small, low estimate there. And then the estimated number of new sales, the average sale price, so give an example of what you think would be a good average sale. And then your estimated profit boost. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. So right now we've gone through 4 strategies. So what I want you to do right now, this is something that I learned at one of the seminars that I attend in the same format, that I go to a live seminar that's done via webinar and video, is that you want to take some time right now before we leave for the break and look at what your takeaways are for this. So I'm just going to do a quick review of what we covered in this first part of the session. We covered the mistakes that you've been making and you might have been making in your business. We also focused what you should be focusing on, the 20% and the 80%. We covered why you should be doing the low-hanging fruit, and it's not just knowing, but it's doing. We looked at what your average client or average sale was, critical number for your business. And then before the break now, we've covered 4 of the low-hanging fruit strategies. We still have 7 more to go after the break. So we're going to be rocking and rolling. So we covered the upsell, both online and offline. We covered the reactivation of past clients, again, online and offline, and also for expired credit cards. We covered offering your clients an additional product or service. That was strategy number 3. And then strategy number 4, offering your products or services to someone else's list. You're going to be getting a lot of content on today's call, so take some time right now and write down what your top takeaways and ahas were. And then feel free to type those in the comments or in the chat or in the questions so I can see what your top takeaways were. So don't go to break until after you've done that. We're not going to take a break until after everybody has done that. All right. All right, and you can click raise your hand when you've completed your little pre-break homework there. So raise your hand when you've done your little takeaways and ahas. Yay, I see some hands going up already. Good. Okay, so we are going to take a 15-minute break right now. And what I'd like to have you do is to actually refresh yourself. Don't start handling emails and get sucked into working in your business. I want you to actually stew with what you have. I see people putting in all of the ahas that they're getting, so this is very exciting. They like the fact that these are all things that they can do for extra revenue without additional expenses, which is the whole point of the low-hanging fruit. It's a lot of fun. So I want you to take a break, get a drink, use the facilities if you need to. We're going to come back here at 1:50 in 15 minutes. And at that point, we'll be going over the other 7 strategies, so you're going to get a lot more information. And we will see you back then. You just dial back in. You can hang up now and dial back in 15 minutes. See you then. Kylan, the Business Optimizer Coach, and here's part 2 of low-hanging fruit strategies to rapidly increase sales. I'm excited to see all the breakthroughs and ahas people have put in the box about the things that they're able to do to increase their revenue without any additional costs or expense, and what they're going to implement out of the first 4 strategies. We have a bunch more strategies to go through, so have your pens and paper ready. And also, remember to keep a question page so that when you have any questions, you can write those down. And also, for the rest of it, make sure that you have everything else on your computer turned off so that you can focus and get the most value out of it. You've put this time aside for yourself and your business, so you want to get the most value out of it. All right, so let's jump into strategy number 5. Strategy number 5 is asking for referrals. Now, this is something that, again, you may have heard about before. It's a pretty basic business principle, and most people, understand that they should be asking referrals, but knowing and doing are 2 different things. So I'm going to walk you through why you should be doing it, how, and give you some examples on how to implement it for your own company. So here we go. All right, so the nice thing about referrals, and probably everybody, this is their favorite kind of business, is that referrals, they already like you before they meet you, because somebody that they know, like, and trust already knows, likes, and trusts you. So the great thing about them is that they're more open, they spend more money, they buy more often, they're more profitable because you didn't have to do any marketing to bring them in. Sometimes, you don't even have as big of a commission to pay, so, for referrals that come in as well. And they're also much more loyal because if I was going to start going to a certain hairdresser that my friend recommended, and then, my friend knows that I went to go see this new hairdresser, and then I stopped going, my friend would be like, oh, are you still seeing Susan as a hairdresser? We're kind of shy to say, oh, we asked you for who you go to get your hair done, and then we changed people. So they are much more loyal. So I'm going to share with you some of the places that you can get referrals, and part of these are going to surprise you because every time I've gone over this with clients, they're always a little surprised at some of the places that you can get them. All right. So most of the time, people are just focusing on getting clients and referrals from current clients, right? They think, oh, well, that's the perfect person to refer to me. But the other place that you can get referrals from are your former clients, people that have already worked for you and worked with you in the past. There's no reason that you can't go back to these people and ask for referrals. Competitors. Now, this is the one that always surprises people, is that, well, how am I going to get business from them if they're a competitor of mine? Well, first of all, I believe that there's competition, and then there's enough business for everybody. So what you want to look at is who are competitors that might not be your direct competitors. So for example, they might do one thing that similar to you. They might have the same type of clients, but it's not exactly the same. So they might, so for example, when I do speaking engagements, a lot of times I actually, if I can't do a speaking engagement, I will refer it to somebody else. So it's a good thing to think of. If you're a web designer, even I know I've worked with a lot of web designers, and this is a great place for them because a lot of times web designers have a backup of, they can't fit a client in at a certain time, or it's not the type of site that they like to design, something like that. So this is a great place to say, hey, if you get any WordPress sites and you don't do WordPress sites, I'd be, happy to refer back and forth with you. So look at some of the competitors that might be able to refer people to you. The next area is prospects. So people that they're considering doing business with you, you want to let them know that if this is a good time. A lot of times what people will do is have a bring a friend option, and this is a great way to get a referral before anybody even did business with you. So bring a friend, because a lot of times, say for example, you're going to go to a spa or something like that. Some people don't like to go places by themselves, right? Or go to dinner or something like that, whatever, lots of different scenarios for this. But people, they like the protection of doing things with a friend or their partner. So if you have a bring a friend option, then that allows them to refer to somebody else. So they've seen this, and now they're going to bring somebody else to do business with you. So that's really fun. Another type is prospects who didn't convert into sales. So, maybe they didn't buy from you, but they know somebody else who could use your services. So that might be a good, so for example, I'll use the hair salon again. Somebody came in to see you for a consult to do their hair for their wedding, but then they decided that they were getting married, further away, or they didn't live close enough or something like that. That would be a good thing to say, oh, who else do you know that, could use my services? Other businesses and professionals, again, this is similar to the strategic alliance of look at what other businesses and professionals could refer to you, that they have your perfect clients, and set up a referral relationship with them. And then the last place is associations. So a lot of times you will have a professional association that you belong to, and a lot of times they have referral places on their website that they refer people business. So that would be a good place to look. So again, brainstorm on these and say, okay, what out of this list can I work on? All right. So here's how to implement this strategy. The first thing you want to do, again, I always focus on working with your perfect client. So you want to identify the qualities that you like about working with that client. This is if you're going to do it with an existing client. Let them know that you enjoy working with them and why. Ask them for who they know that has that same type of quality, and then ask them for the referral. So for example, for myself, for example, if I'm picturing one of my perfect clients, what I might say is, I really love the way you are so passionate about your business, and you throw yourself in, and you really have these big goals and dreams. And I love working with that type of client. You're awesome. And I have a lot of fun working with you because you're not just in this to make a little incremental improvement. You really have a bigger picture and a bigger goal. You probably know some other people who are also business owners that have really big goals, and they might be also struggling with how to take the steps that they need to reach that goal. So I would love it if you have any of business owners that you're thinking of that that kind of have that same spark that you do, if you'd be willing to refer them to me. And here's what I have to offer for them. So let them know of what their referral can expect. So if you would send me their referral, I'd be happy to provide them with a complimentary marketing strategy session, or whatever it is that you would be, I would be happy to provide them with a free color analysis, or whatever it is that you're going to do for that person. So you let them know how you're going to help them. So create your script and start to use it. And if you have staff members, again, this is an area that you can work on with your staff, is to have them create the script and then start to use it. And again, just like with the upsells, you want to be tracking this. All right, so another thing about getting referrals is that you want to make them part of your company culture. So I've worked with a lot of chiropractors, and one of the things is that you'll see some chiropractors that get a gazillion referrals, which is a technical, real number, gazillion. And then you see some chiropractors that get none, and some of these chiropractors that get none are really good chiropractors. So the difference between them is that the people that are really successful at it, number one, they're doing it, they're asking for it, but they also make it a part of their company culture. And they start right away by pre-paving for referrals when you're only a prospect with your business. So, there's different ways that you can do this. You can let the prospect know that, you need new patients or clients, that you're open to new patients or clients, because a lot of times if people perceive you as too busy, they wonder if you're accepting new business. Also, you could let them know, so for example, I'll give you an example there. So say, for example, I was in the building industry, some type of trade work, home improvement type thing, and I was doing an installation in the neighborhood. I would let the prospects know that, listen, while we're here in your area, if you have any neighbors that would be interested in also having their landscaping done, their window washing done, whatever it is that you're doing for them, please let us know, and we would be happy to not only offer you a gift certificate, but we would also offer them 10% off their first purchase from us, or first service from us. So you're starting that with the prospect at the beginning, that you're letting them know that, listen, we have capacity. We can not just take care of you, but we can take care of them as well. Also let them know that a lot of your business comes from referrals. Now again, just letting them know that also builds that whole like, know, and trust, because they feel like, wow, if they're getting referrals, then they must be good at what they do. So let them know that. And also, a good way to do that, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but mention it in your newsletter. So when you get referrals, reward the people that are, giving their referrals, not getting their referrals, the people that are giving their referrals, reward them by mentioning, like, we want to thank the patients that referred their family and friends, and put a little acknowledgement in your newsletter. The other thing that you can do if you really want to boost referrals is to put a board in your office, if you have a physical location, with thank yous. Like, we want to thank our wonderful clients for referring their friends and family. And, put a picture up of the happy people with their, if you give a little gift when you do referrals, have them, have a picture with their little gift that you gave them and things like that. So again, it's part of the culture. It's part of what people notice when they come into your office. The other thing is gifts, like I just mentioned. If you take a picture of them with the gifts, gifts are great if they're allowed in your industry or profession. So I would suggest that you look into that. And some professions don't allow it, depending, medical and things like that. But, some of them allow it as long as it's up to a certain dollar amount as well. So you could do gift certificates to the movies or to a restaurant, or have a special, one of the things a lot of people have done very successfully is have a special event that's for their top referral people. Make it something fun. Like, if you want to get a lot, you can have a local celebrity. And a lot of those local celebrities will do it very reasonably, like, a local football player that's popular, or, somebody like that, that you could have a dinner, or you could have a cocktail party with them, or something like that. Do something that's fun. And that's something that I'm a big believer in, you're going to hear me saying over and over again, is to make things fun, make things personable, and make it so that people want to do business with you. make this a regular process. So you want to make sure that you keep doing this over and over and over again. Now, if you're doing this as part of a regular process, what happens is you can have a lot more fun with it because you could do giveaways, you could do contests. There's all sorts of things that you can do. Again, it all goes back to the beginning of our class, knowing your numbers. If you know what your ideal client and what an average sale is for you, then you know how much you can afford to give as a referral gift and for contests and things like that. So we've done things like giving away trips and stuff like that because if you can get enough new business from the amount of referrals you're getting, then number one, people have a very good chance of winning the trip, and number two, you have a very good chance of paying for that trip many times over from the amount of business that you get. All right, so let me give you a client example because a lot of times people get stymied on this. They say, oh, yeah, I asked for referrals, but they're not really doing it. So let's look at how one of my clients did it. So this client was a dentist, and what we did for him is we created a trigger system to remind him and his staff of when to ask for the referrals, because this is one of the common problems that I hear is people say, oh, yeah, I asked for referrals, but only when they remember, and it's kind of like flossing, I guess. You have to remember to do it, right, or else it's not going to work. So we looked at when we could do this. We looked at every step of his business and when we could do it. The first part was the intake and welcome process. Now, again, this is a good time to ask, are there any other family members? They're just a prospect right now. They're thinking of making an appointment. Are there any other family members that also need an appointment? Great way to increase your sales very quickly. So intake and welcome process. Again, let them know that they welcome new patients. They get to know that here's our referral process. If you want to refer a new patient, this is what you do, and this is what the new patient will get, and this is what you'll get. Number two, this was a really good one, is when a patient said they were surprised by how painless the dentist's services were, that is a great time to ask for referrals. So whatever it is that people think that is the pain point in your industry, and it doesn't have to be real physical pain, and they mention that they were so happy that you didn't do it, that's a great time to ask for a referral. So for example, if you are a painter, and most painters are known as being extremely messy, they're known for not always being on time. I'm sorry if I'm generalizing, but I'm just looking at some of the research that's been done on this. And what happens is when your client says, wow, I was so happy that you were here every day, you said you were going to show up, there's a great opportunity to ask for a referral. The other time is when this guy with the dentist, is when his patient came back for his checkup, when he had his smile maker done, and they said how happy they were, how many compliments they received, etc. So again, you don't have to have a smile reveal to have this process apply for your own business. It's whenever people say how happy they were, their emotions they're experiencing, or problem solved. So look for those areas in your business. So for example, if you're giving a massage, it could be that they said, wow, my back felt so much better after I had that massage. It could be when they said, oh, I was so relaxed, I felt awesome. So these are good times to really look at asking for the referrals. Oh, and a bonus tip for this, just to think of, is when you're asking for referrals, any of these trigger points that you create in your business, a little bonus tip is to also, this is a great time to ask for testimonials. So written testimonials. So for example, if somebody says, wow, Dr. So-and-so's root canal was very pain-free, say, oh, wow, I'm so happy to hear that. That's a great time to say, do you mind if I write something up and, we could use that to educate some of our other patients that are scared of having their dental work done. And you can also do video. You can also do pictures, things like that. So great time to get some testimonials that are really passionate. All right, so now this is your turn. You want to get out your catchphrases and triggers to ask for referrals. So I want you to brainstorm for a few minutes here. I'm going to give you a minute to just jot down some of the times that you could be asking for referrals. Go. Okay, excellent. So you should have a few things that you think of, either times that people are feeling there's pain there that they didn't experience, they expected to experience with you, or problems that they talk about that, or when they have a good experience and a benefit and they want to share that. Okay, so next step here, keep those pencils out, is I would like you to now monetize this strategy. Again, everything in business, we don't want to just talk about it, we want to monetize it. Well, we want to implement it as well. So what are the number of clients you have that you could ask for referrals? Say, for example, on a weekly or monthly basis. Estimated percent that will give referrals. Estimated number of new sales from that. And, you know, this depends on what your success rate is with the referral. Some people tell me, okay, when I get a referral, I get 100% of them to buy from me. Some of them say I get 50% or 80%. So look at what you think that number might be. The average sale, and then your estimated profit boost from this strategy. All right, excellent. All right, let's go on to the next strategy, strategy number 6, which is have a sale. Now, this is you know, people think, oh, well, you know, not every business can have a sale, number one. That's one of the objections I get to this strategy, which I think is not true. A lot of, you can do this with most businesses. But the thing that people mistake this with is lowering your prices. So this is one of the challenges that I see with this strategy, is that, you know, people want to have a sale, but I don't want them to lower their prices. And what that means is that you don't want to always be getting people that are looking for a bargain. And so you want to make sure that you're not trying to be the lowest price leader, you know, the low price person in your town or in your niche. So when you do a sale, it should be occasional, and it should always be different. So, you know, you can't just offer something at 20% off every 3 months or something. Like, for example, in the grocery store. I know that in the grocery store they seem to have chicken on sale every so many weeks. So I don't buy chicken except for the weeks that the chicken is on sale. And then I put it in my freezer because I've come to expect that they're going to have chicken 50% off every so often. So you don't want to have that happening in your business, because then you're actually lowering your sales and lowering your revenues. So what you want to do is you want to have it be, you want to be strategic in this. And it goes back to the beginning where you're being strategic and you plan this out. You want to have different things be on sale, have different packages put together. And by doing that, you're not going to make people start to wait until you have a special to buy from you. So, and again, have fun with this. All right, so here's a few different types of sales that you can do. The first one is a scratch and dent sale. And this is, I mean, people have fun with this. I've seen some online guys that, you know, they'll have a picture of their storeroom and like all these things in there, and they'll say, you know, my wife is going to kill me if I don't get rid of some of these manuals. You know, we're having a special sale. Come in, you know, get blah, blah, blah. You can do this with old inventory that you need to move. So that's a good way to get a quick cash boost there, things that aren't moving. The second thing is to do products that you don't promote much, or people that don't buy much of them. So, you know, look at what you have that people aren't regularly buying, that are maybe overlooked. So you have certain things that people come into your store for, and you might have some things that they don't think about. So look and see what those could be. So for example, say, I'm just going to pull out an example, say a hair salon. People might buy shampoo and conditioner when they go to hair salon, when they get their hair done, but they might not be buying a product to do a root boost, or they might not be buying a product for a dry shampoo for the days that they don't have a chance to wash their hair, or they might not be buying new brushes. So look at some of the things that are not your most popular movers that you could put a sale on and increase sales very quickly, and it won't, you know, steal revenue from things that are already moving well. Another thing you could do is a special event. And so you want to, be creative with that. Not just, St. Patrick's Day. Find other things. Beltane, which could, is like the spring celebration they do from the time of the pagans. Things that are different. Number 4 is package deals. So create a package. So they're getting a sale price, but it's on a package. And the great thing about that is the package doesn't have to be the same every time. So it could be, if you're a salon again, for example, it could be, shampoo, conditioner, which they normally might be buying, but it's a special because you're adding on another product and discounting that product. So they're getting 3 for the price of 2.5 or something like that. And then the last thing is closeouts on products that you're discontinuing. So before you get rid of a product, especially if you're doing something online, so say, for example, you have a product online that you're selling, and it's not selling well and you're going to take it off your website, do a discontinuation sale so that you can get a last burst out of it. And you can make it, and then you can add it to something else. Because a lot of times people will take an online product and add it as a bonus for something else. So that would be another use that you could use for that product after you discontinue it. The other thing that you could use is things that you want people to try, so new things in your business. So are there things in your business that are a new service that you're offering that you want people to try out? That would be a great thing to offer on sale to get them into it, because a lot of times things that are new, if people don't know that they need it, they might need a little bit of incentive to try something different. The other thing you can put on sale is a subscription package. So I just saw one of these come through my inbox in my email yesterday, is that you might offer them, if they buy 12 months of something, a special deal versus just buying 1 month of something, which is a great way. People like that because you can save a lot of money, and for businesses it locks in a lot of revenue. So for example, if you were doing, say, home care, instead of just doing a 1 month at a time thing, say, listen, we'll do spring and fall cleanups, and you have a special package on that instead of trying to sell a spring cleanup and a fall cleanup individually. Because you already have the person in front of you, it's the best time to make the sale. All right, so now what I want you to do is to look at how you can implement this for yourself. So I want you to brainstorm possible products and packages to promote. Tie it into something to make it fun and creative. And there is a calendar, and I will, make a note that I'm going to send you out this calendar link. I forgot to put it in the workbook. But there's a calendar online that I just love. It's so much fun. And what it is, it's all the crazy holidays in the world. And it's things like that you would never even think of. So for example, let's just pick a day. May 1st is Save the Rhino Day. June 1st is National Donut Day. Hug Holiday, June 29th. Forgiveness Day. Workaholics Day. I Forgot Day. Embrace Your Geekness Day. Chocolate Day. Now, I like Chocolate Day. That's on July 7th. So I'll send you out the link for that calendar. But these are fun little holidays or promotion days that have been created that you can tie into whatever you're doing, and it's really fun because it's not like a Mother's Day package that people are thinking, oh, well, every year she's going to do a Mother's Day package, and they're going to come to expect it. But if you do something like Chocolate Day, they're having a special Chocolate Day promotion, well, all of a sudden, they're not going to expect they're not going to even remember that you had what day Chocolate Day is. Although I might mark it on my calendar. But it can be fun, and it's outside the box, and people won't get used to buying at a discount from you. All right. So what you want to do then is you want to create a sale and promotional calendar. And this is really important, and again, it goes back to being strategic, that you don't want to just pull these sales out of your hat and say, oh, yeah, I need to do a sale this month to get more business. What you want to do is you want to have times in your calendar the whole year marked out so you know what you're going to do. Is it a back-to-school thing? Is it a Christmas thing? Is it your birthday celebration? Is it, and people miss out on big reasons to have sales because, like, for example, you might have, like, 5 years anniversary of being in business. Well, unless you plan it ahead, that date goes by and you completely forget you ever had it. And so that's why it's really important to have your whole time marked out so that you know what you're going to do all year. And then you can make them flow well instead of just having them be sporadic. Now, the other thing you want to do is you want to develop the marketing plan and actions for each of these promos. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, is that the great thing about these days is that you can actually do marketing very inexpensively. You can email your list. You can do Facebook. You can do Twitter. You can do LinkedIn. You can do things to your existing clients. So you can do this very inexpensively and also use some things that you pay for mixed in there. All right, let's look at monetizing this strategy now. All right, so what I want you to do now is look at what are, like, if you were to actually create a sales calendar, and again, this is just a guesstimate, if you were to create a sales calendar and, did sales on a regular basis, say every month, some companies can have sales more often than that. I mean, if you look at clothing stores, they have sales almost every week, it seems like. So it just depends on your business. What do you think you could do? How many new product sales could you have, or clients, times your average sale, and then your estimated profit boost from that? And you might find that, listen, you're doing, maybe right now you're doing 4 sales a year. You're doing, let's just say Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, and New Year's right now. Well, if you're doing 4 sales and you're making, say, $4,000 from that, then look at what you could add on to increase that. What would you be able to increase that by if you added a few more events on there? All right. And this next strategy that we're going to talk about is one that most people might have heard about, but they don't usually think about doing, and it can work really well. So let's jump into the next one. All right. So strategy number 7 is to have an open house. Now, the cool thing, when you think of an open house, a lot of times the problem with that is that people think that I don't have a business that's in a location, or I don't have a pretty location. So they think that they can't do this. So what I want you to think about is to think outside the box. It doesn't have to be at your place of business, and I'm going to give you a few examples of how people have done that. All right, so I'm going to, first of all, we'll start out with a client example. It's fun because most of my client examples come from the recession years because, like I said, in the recession, it causes you to have to be more creative. Your leads slow down, your business slows down, so you have to start to think of, what can I do that's outside the box? So this has been very fun for me. I don't want to, profit from others' misery, but it's been fun to actually come up with some solutions for things. So this client, wanted to get in front of her target market quickly, but she had no budget to do trade shows. That's how she'd been doing things in the past, was doing trade shows, and that was just out of it because her sales had been way down. And she found that her sales calls were not getting her results. She was calling on people, she was doing drop-ins, and she was not getting any callbacks. People, as the recession goes on, not just you are hustling to get business, but the people you're calling on, they're hustling to get business. So if you're selling B2B, they're a lot busier as well from they're focusing on their most important thing, which is also driving more business. So here's what we did. The solution is we created an open house with other vendors who also wanted to get in front of her target market. So this is where the no budget thing came in, because she did not have a budget for this, is that we looked at, okay, who else also wanted the same clients that she wanted? So again, they were not competitors, but they were great strategic alliance partners. So what we did is we actually had it at somebody else's location, which was even better, so she didn't have to do much. Everything was paid for by charging the other participants or having things donated. So she organized it, but by organizing it, she then said to them, listen, it's going to be $500 or whatever. It was much less than doing a trade show. It's going to be $500 to participate, and we're going to have a cocktail party, and we're going to invite these people. And then other people also donated gifts and things that they could use. The result of this is she got in front of over 70 of her ideal buyers. Now, the cool thing about this is it doesn't sound like a huge number, but they were 70 of her ideal buyers. In this case, they were people from different divisions of Microsoft was what she was going after, and tech companies. And the great thing about those 70 ideal buyers is that she didn't have the competition of being in a trade show where there's hundreds of other booths and you're just one of them, and they may or may not come by your booth. And if they do, they're taking your materials, and you're one of 300 other companies that's also going to be calling them on Monday morning to follow up. So it's a great way to, get out in front of your ideal buyers without a lot of competition. The other thing that she discovered as a result is that she developed much more rapport with these people and relationships faster than was doing sales calls, because the people came to the event. So they were there to meet with her, to find out what was available. And so it wasn't like a sales call where it's like, okay, I'm in the middle of something, I just want to get off the phone. And the top result was that she got sales from this. So it didn't cost her any money, and she got sales. So a good strategy. All right. So let's look at how you could do this. All right. So again, it can be online or offline. I'll give you an example online because I think that might be something that you could do that you might not even be thinking of how you could do it. Now, what I would say if you were going to do it online, that's how I developed my Business Optimization Week. So for several years, I did a big event called Business Optimization Week. And the reason why is I wanted to have an open house or an event, but I don't have a physical office where a lot of people could come in and see me. So what I did is I gathered a whole bunch of different business growth experts, and I interviewed them online. I also had them invite their list to attend. So it was like an online open house where I got to speak to all of my ideal buyers. So that was a good example of that, and very successful. Tens of thousands of dollars in sales from doing that. And number one, I didn't have to go anywhere. Number two, it was all, for the most part, it was all new buyers that came in from other people's lists. The other way you could do this online, and these are some of the amazing new technology, and but the new technology is evolving all of the time. So, and it's getting easier to use. That's the other thing. I mean, I remember when I was first doing videos for my website, it was so difficult. Like I had to do the video, and then I had to upload it on my computer, and I had to send it out, and the files were too big. And nowadays, you can do a video with your iPhone, and you can put it in Dropbox. You can pop it on YouTube, like directly from your phone. I mean, things are getting so much easier. So even if you've looked at technology in the past as a way to reach your market, I really encourage you to look again, because things, I mean, that's just in the last 2 years how much easier video has gotten. So here's some ideas for that. You can do an open video chat, which is really fun. I've done that on, if you check out my live stream channel, which is livestream.com, it's Business Optimizer Coach is my channel name. And I've done several open video chats where I actually go online, I'm on my video camera, live, on the air, and people can come in and chat and ask questions. Another way that I've seen a lot of people do it successfully is have a Facebook chat. And I don't mean like a chat between one person, a Q&A. They'll, like, for example, a lot of fitness people will do this. They'll say, oh, we're going to have a Q&A at 11 o'clock. So respond to this thread on Facebook and ask any questions you have. So if you have an hour that you're not doing something, or half an hour, this is a great way to get some of your people interested, and you can see who on your list is interested. So it might be, maybe you're a designer and you want to say, we're having a designer Q&A. Come on my Facebook wall and ask anything you have about decorating your kitchen or kitchen cabinets or whatever your topic is for that time. So it's important to give them a topic to ask questions about. The other thing would be a Google Hangout, that you can do a video on Google, and you can all see each other from your video cameras, which I think Oprah had done on her channel with Tony Robbins when she did the live tour throughout North America, you could see that people were from different areas. They were all over the world, and they were all, chatting. And you can also do that through Skype as well. So I want you to think outside the box. Like, how can you get to your ideal client? So, for example, you could do it at an outside place. It could be a garden center if your people are interested in gardening. It could be at a restaurant. It could be at a gym. There's all sorts of places and other businesses that would love to do this strategy with you. And again, you want to make it a win-win. You're coming to them with the strategy and how to do it, and you're going to do a lot of the work for it, and they're going to provide the facility. They're going to provide their list. You're both going to win from this. Okay? So now what I want you to do is I want you to monetize this strategy. So if you had an open house, and again, very basic, just a guesstimate, how many new leads do you think you could get if you had an open house with with another company involved, or several companies? Another thing to think about is when you do an open house like this, it's a lot more intimate, it's a lot more fun. People want to come to this more than they want to come to a big trade show because you can make it fun. And also, if you have several people that they're all interested in those types of service, they're more likely to come to that than a big trade show where there's like 50 booths that they're not even interested in. Your estimated percentage that you can convert to a new sale, your estimated number of new sales, your average sale, and then your estimated profit boost from that. All right. Let's go on to strategy number 8, and this one is a painful one that people are missing. This is a leak, a profit leak. All right, the profit leak is follow-up. And so this is strategy number 8, is improving your follow-up, because it is a very simple, low-hanging fruit that's just waiting for you to capitalize on, because it's a profit leak that you probably have right now that that if you fix it, the profits will increase a lot. Because you've already done you've already done the marketing, you've already done the work, you've already done the sales calls, you've invested the time, money, and energy to get that lead or to get that initial client, and you've just let it slip away. So this is going to give you some additional profits. All right, so this is really scary. I did some training for a trade show company a few years ago, one of the leading trade show companies in North America, and they have actual research that 70% or more of leads are never followed up on. This freaks me out, right? 70%, that means you have 10 leads and 7 of them you don't even call, right? Or if you have 100 leads, there's 70 that you don't call. And it's just crazy because you are paying the money to get that lead. Whether you're doing marketing, whether you're doing a trade show, whatever you're doing, not just the money, but also the time and effort you've put to get that lead. So, and I know you're thinking, oh, well, I follow up on my leads, but I assure you that there's some that are slipping through your fingers. So I want you to take advantage of this. So it takes the average person, again, this is research, it takes the average person being contacted 5 to 7 times before buying. And if you don't follow up at all, they've only seen you once, there's a very slight chance they're going to buy from you. Now, I always joke that my husband and I would not be married if he had not been persistent and done a lot of follow-up. Because when we met, he kept asking me, and I kept saying no. So you can ask my husband if you think follow-up works. So, and I'm happily married, so I'm happy he kept asking. So let's look at your poor follow-up. So what happens with poor follow-up? 2 things. Number 1, the prospect cools off, gets busy with something else, or they're buying from a competitor. Either one of those are not good, and that's not what you want. And the thing is that a lot of times I've had somebody contact me about something, and I actually want the product or service, right? And because that is not at the top of my list, the top of my list is taking care of my stuff that I'm working on and want, I forget about it. And it just slips off my radar completely. So the I as the prospector, cooling off. Or I buy from a competitor because I forget that that person ever contacted me and who they were. You know, I might have their email filed somewhere, but if I don't remember their name or the exact company name, I might not ever find it again. So I bet you can think of several products and times that you've been interested in something and the person never followed up or called you back. All right, so let's talk about how you're going to do the follow-up and how you're going to improve this. All right, so your follow-up needs to be pre-planned for every marketing strategy you use. And this is a huge breakdown that I see a lot of times in companies is they'll do a marketing strategy, but they don't have the sales strategy and the follow-up strategy in place. So again, you don't have the big enough strategic picture, so you're not getting the results that you want. So when you do a marketing strategy, so for example, you're doing a sales presentation, you're doing a sales call, you're doing trade shows, you're doing a magazine ad, you're doing Facebook ads, whatever it is, you need to have the follow-up strategy be in place for that so that you're going to get the best results. So how do you know which one to do? Because obviously you have probably several different ways. Hopefully you have a lot of different ways that you're bringing in leads. You want to start with where you have the most leads coming in from. So what are the areas that you have the most leads? Is it via phone? Is it through cold calls? Is it through online, trade shows, ads? Pick your area where you have the most leads because this is where you're going to get the most low-hanging fruit. Okay? Now this is what I want you to do. I want you to stack it. I'm very well known for stacked marketing. And what stacked marketing means is that you're not just using one marketing method. And the reason why that I suggest stacking your marketing is because if you are just a one-trick pony, it's a very dangerous place to be. You can read about this on my blog if you look for stacked marketing. But, you know, I have seen clients that they come to me because their business is in a huge problem because they were relying on something that suddenly gets outlawed, like the do not call list. I've had people that have, you know, their whole business fell apart because the do not call list, you know, was started. So they came to me and said, okay, what else can I do? The do not call has ruined my business. You know, if Facebook changes their ads, people, you know, if you're just doing Facebook ads, or if anything, you know, like say, for example, you're advertising on TV, and now all of a sudden Friends goes off there, you know, like when Friends was back on, you know, 10, 15, I don't know how long ago that was, a long time ago. But, you know, if you look at a major show like that, and you are advertising to the demographics of the Friends show, and then Friends stops, you know, there's your whole lead source that's trickling, you know, has dried up to a trickle. So that's why you need to stack it. So you want to stack your follow-up as well. And again, if you want more on the stacking the marketing itself, you can go on the blog at businessoptimizercoach.com/blog and just search for stacked marketing. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to choose which lead source, and then you're going to stack the follow-up. So here's some examples. Email. So for email, you want to use what's called an autoresponder. And if you don't know what an autoresponder is, it's an automatic email that can go out. Now, it depends on which system you have. There's a lot of different systems that you can implement for CRM, Client Relationship Management. So the autoresponders are going to go out at different times in your sales cycle. So if somebody requests something that they're a lead, you might have an email that goes out to say, you know, here's the file, here's the free report you requested. Then the next one might say, hey, did you read the free report? So you want to keep it going during the sales cycle. Now, when I'm saying there should be emails for before you set an appointment, if you have appointments in your industry, you can have emails for once the appointment is set to remind them to show up for their appointment. And there can be emails even after they ordered before they get their product or service to let them know, hey, you made a good buying decision, so that people don't fall off the wagon. So you want to look at every step of your sales cycle and create your follow-up to be appropriate for each step. Phone. You can have a tickler file in your CRM. So say, for example, somebody calls and inquires about your product or service. You have a tickler file that pops up a reminder that reminds you to call and follow up. You should also have scripts. Very important, so that everybody in your business is doing the same thing. You can track it and you can quantify if it's working or not. Same thing with mail. Say you're going to send out a mail. You want to have it done at certain intervals. You want to have that pop up as a reminder in a tickler file in your CRM. And you want to write out the whole series at once because you want to make sure that it all makes sense. You don't want to send them something with this message and then something and not have the whole thing tied together cohesively. So I would suggest writing a series. Fax. I know fax sounds really strange, but a lot of times now people have fax, but they're sitting there empty. So if I got a fax, I would be like, wow, I would be surprised, and I'd pick it up and read it. You can't do fax blasts. People used to do that. Again, that's an example of if you weren't stacking your marketing and you were just doing fax blasts, you were in big trouble because they're illegal. But as of this recording, you can fax prior, people that are prior customers. And then another newfangled way of doing it is to do text messaging, which is, getting more and more popular. So that might be something that you want to put into your follow-up process. All right. So let's give an example here. So this is how I stacked it for one of my clients. He was a one-on-one coaching client. He was doing a trade show. And so the first thing we did is we set up his trade show so that he would capture more leads, because that was a profit leak that he had, that he wasn't capturing the leads. He had the best show he ever had, and this was in the building industry in the recession, so that was amazing for him. He was blown away. But then the next step was an effective follow-up system, because he didn't have a good follow-up system. And he wanted to be able to, especially because this was the recession, he'd spent money to do the trade show, he now wanted to get as many sales as possible. So what we did is we created a stacked follow-up system. I'll run you through this and explain this to you. So the first thing that they got was a phone call from his sales reps to set an appointment. Okay. He also did emails. So he's contacting them in two different ways, because some people like to answer the phone, some people like to check their email. So what we then did is we looked at what is the strategy for each step. So if they get an appointment, if they get a yes, they would then get a thank you email and a welcome, or what to expect. Okay? And the same thing happened from the phone call. So if they got the appointment, then they would get the thank you email with a welcome, what to expect. We're going to be coming to see you. This is he was in solar, so this is what you need to have prepared, your electric bill or whatever, so we can help you. If they got a no, so they've called or emailed the person to follow up from the trade show. If they got a no, this person didn't set an appointment, then they would go into a different sequence. But they would then get a letter, they would get an email, they would get a phone call, they would get an email, get a letter. And they would also be entered into the email database as a lead. So they were separated in the email database because they weren't a client yet. If they got a maybe, so say somebody said, I might want to do it, but I can't write this week because my husband's out of town or whatever it is. Again, they got tagged in their database as a lead, but a maybe or a warm. They'd go into a different sequence, like a letter, email, call, email, letter, call, and keep getting on that into the database. So then the other thing that we would do is if somebody if they did do a call, we would also make sure that you always put them on their email list and requested permission to do that. So that's something else that we did with that. All right, so you can see how it sounds a little bit complicated, but it's very simple. You pick your most popular area that you have leads coming in from, right? Remember, we're only doing this for one thing right now. You pick the most popular area. You then choose to create some follow-up. And the follow-up needs to have if they say yes, and follow-up if they say no. So, and again, at each stage, so say, for example, somebody booked an appointment, because this goes on, this follow-up sequence that we did. But what happens is if they got a follow-up, they booked the appointment, and at the appointment they said yes, they became a client. Then they got a different letter saying, yeah, you're welcome to our company. Here's what we're excited to have you, maybe referring to giving referrals, things like that. If they did not buy after the appointment, then they went into a different follow-up sequence. So I want you to break down your sales cycle for your most popular lead generation method and look at where the breakdown is and add some follow-up pieces for that. Okay? So now let's monetize this strategy. So let's look, say, for example, in a certain month. How many clients do you need to contact for follow-up in a month? What's the estimated percentage you could convert to a new sale if you put a really good follow-up system in place? I mean, sometimes it's funny. You even see people doing really bad follow-up, and they still get sales because they're just doing follow-up and nobody else is. The number of estimated new sales times your average sale, and what your profit boost would be from that. And I'll give you a second to figure that out. Okay. All right, so let's go into strategy number 9. All right, strategy number 9 is the one that I get the most resistance from. This is doubling your offers. So you might be cringing, or you might be even scared to implement this strategy. And, you know, I'm going to encourage you to hear me out. Don't shut down. Don't start cruising the internet, looking stuff on Google or Facebook. I want you to hear me out and actually start to implement this, because it's a huge difference in growing your sales. So the thing about this is right now there's multiple ways to double your offers. So it's not just doubling in the days gone by. If you had to double your offers, you might have to, you know, mail the people, you know, more things. You might have to phone the people more often. Nowadays, there's more channels to reach your clients or your prospects through. So by doubling your offers, it doesn't always have to mean like doubling it in every area. You can double them across many different platforms, which also will get you results. And the other great thing about today is that there's lots of places to do this that are low cost or free again. So you don't have to be just doing direct mail, which obviously is more expensive to do, but there are good ways to do. So here's some of the free and low cost ways to double your offers. Your email newsletter, or e-zine as it's called, an online magazine. You should be sending those, and you should be making offers in those. E-blast. Now, the difference between an e-blast and an e-zine is a newsletter is something, and you know, you've probably seen this from me, is the newsletter has an article usually. It has some conversational type things in there. It might have upcoming events. So it's more like, you know, you're getting the news of the company, plus you're getting some valuable content. Might even have a video in it. And then the second thing is an e-blast. And an e-blast is where you send it to your list or a segment of your list, and you're just sending them an offer. So the difference between that is the email the e-zine or the newsletter can have an offer in it, but it's not the only thing in email. So that would be the difference between the two of those. The other thing that you can do is send an offer with a newsletter, like a printed newsletter that you're already doing. Send an offer in that. The other place that you can put any offers are in your invoices even, to encourage people to buy. Another place would be social media. Again, that's where the free is really increased. And you can post and make offers there a lot more frequently than you think, because it might seem like you're posting or offering a lot, but most people are not seeing every offer. The time frame is different on each of these social media sites in terms of how long it sticks that people will actually see it. So in Twitter, if you're not there in the minute that it happens, you probably won't see it unless you only have like 10 people that you're following. On LinkedIn, it sticks all around a little longer. On Facebook, it depends on the algorithm that they're using, and it depends on how popular your post is. So if you get a lot of likes, if you get a lot of interaction on whatever it is that you're doing, it'll stay on people's feeds longer. So again, you can post a lot more times. Don't post something once or once a week, for heaven's sake, or once a day and think everybody's going to see it. They're not. Things are moving too fast. They're not going to see it. The other place to consider is mobile, that you can also be doing mobile marketing. All right, so I'm going to give you a client example. All right, so one of my clients was not regularly emailing his list. So when we put together his marketing calendar, you know, even though he was a little nervous about it, we increased his offers from monthly to weekly, and his sales jumped dramatically, and he did not get that many unsubscribes. That's what people are worried about. You know, you're worried that you're going to get unsubscribes, you're going to get people are aggravated with you. You know, and I do have another program that deals with that called Selling with Confidence, getting a yes without being pushy. So if you have some resistance to selling, that might be a good program for you. It's on my website under resources. But, you know, what one of my mentors said to me a long time ago is, marketing is the process of separating the people who should be or would be your perfect clients and who shouldn't be. So the people that are unsubscribing or complaining, they're not your perfect clients. They're not the people that are going to buy from you anyway. And if they are, they're the kind they're going to complain when they're your client. So, you know, look at what you're doing to serve and get yourself in front of the people that do need what you're going to do. And that's where, you know, in that Selling with Confidence, we talk about coming from service and how you're going to help people and how you're going to improve them. And that's how it really makes a shift for you to be able to feel like what you're doing is not just promoting. It's helping. All right, so here's some things to keep in mind. Number one, your newsletter should provide some valuable content. So if you want to feel like you're not spamming, well, first of all, you shouldn't be spamming people, but if you want to feel like you're not aggravating people, you want to add some content in what you're doing in addition to the offers. The other thing about doing a lot of marketing is you want to make sure that those offers are written as if you're talking to your perfect client. So you don't want to be like, you know, sound like you're one of those promoters for, you know, wrestling. You want it to sound like you're talking to a friend, like you're talking to somebody that you care about. And when you do it this way, then it comes across as caring. It comes across, you know, and it doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be selling accounting. You could be selling, you know, spa services. You could be selling landscaping. You could be selling chiropractic. It doesn't matter. Software. Even if you're selling software, which is something technical and dry, it should be written like you're talking to one of your friends or who's your perfect client. Okay? You'll get a lot less resistance to your marketing if you do that. All right, so what I want you to do is plan out what offers you're going to add and how you're going to get those in front of your prospects and clients. So look at your existing marketing calendar, what you're doing for promotions. So you should have your whole marketing calendar in front of you. That's one of the things when my clients that are on the call, they know all about the the marketing calendar and tracking, you know, what are we going to do and what did we actually do each month. So you should have that marketing calendar in front of you and look at, okay, how can I increase the number of offers I'm doing? And then monetizing. All right, so how many new offers are you going to do? Maybe you're making 4 offers a year to your clients. I don't know. It could be 1 a month. I really encourage you to at least be making a weekly offer, especially if you offer something that people can use every month, you should be offering it weekly. If you're offering something that people don't use as often, you can then offer it maybe monthly or quarterly. Say you have something that people are going to you're doing renovations or something. Well, they're not going to renovate their house every year. So you don't need to make offers as much. But also remember, people are passing those offers along to people they know. And that's why when you create offers that also have something of interest to people, you're going to get a lot more results because people will continue to open and read what you're sending. Okay, so the estimated percent that convert to a new sale, your estimated number of new sales, your average sale times your average sale, and then what is your estimated profit boost from that strategy? All right, so we're coming to the end now. We have strategy number 10. And remember, we're going to open up for Q&A after, so make sure you're writing down your questions as we go along. All right, so strategy number 10 is a downsell. So a downsell is presenting your prospect with a less expensive option. And this is not to be confused with discounting or lowering your prices. So you're not offering the same thing for less. That's not where I'm going with this. This is a strategic method of getting sales from prospects who weren't ready to buy what you're offering. Okay? So you want to look at, if somebody's not going to buy what you're selling, what could you do that would be less, that would involve less of your product or less of your services? So you're not again, I want to be very clear about this. This is not discounting what you just told them that you were trying to sell them. You don't want to be doing that, because then they're seeing you as not as of much value. Okay, so here's what the challenge is. A lot of times you're doing a sales presentation, and a lot of times you're presenting something, a product or a service, to your prospect, and they say no, that they can't afford it. Right? That's one of the biggest objections that people get. And the sales conversation stops right there. So for example, say you were doing a presentation to redo somebody's front walk for them, okay? Well, one of the things is that, you gave them a presentation for this front walk that you were going to install for them. And they said, you know what, we really can't afford that. So instead of just discounting it, now what you could do is say, all right, well, we could do the front walk, but what it would involve is we would use a different material, which is less expensive. So that would be one way to give them another option. You could do it in stages. So you could say, well, what we could do is we could start this part of the fit process right now, and then next year we could add on this area of your patio or whatever it is, or your retaining wall or whatever they were going to do with the front walk. But to give them some different options so that the sales conversation keeps going. All right, so I'm going to give you an example. So I have an accounting firm, and they offer, something that's a very extensive service. It's pretty in-depth, and it's a pretty big package. And that's called cost reports. So they're figuring out these cost reports for a certain market they deal with. And so what we decided is these cost reports were a big ticket item. So what we decided was that we were going to create a downsell. So instead of signing people up to do the cost reports, they're creating the downsell to just preparing their tax returns. So maybe they're not ready to switch accountants to have their cost reports done, but they, let's give them a try doing just the tax returns and see how they do with that. Now, there's obviously an opportunity there in the future to then start offering, the cost report to this client again. But the point of doing the downsell is it allows them to, get the client. It also allows the client to start to like, know, and trust this new accountant, which is important when you have, with a lot of things, that people need to trust you. I mean, with accounting, it's with your money. If you're in home improvement or something, it's allowing people into your home, and your home is your castle, and you don't want them messing it up. If it's something to do with your body, like your hair or massage or anything like that, I mean, people have to trust you. They have to like you, know you. So that's important. So here's another profit leak. If you only have one product or service, you're probably leaving a lot of dollars out there, and they're probably going to your low-priced competition. So what you should do is you should create a downsell package to offer. Now, one of the things that you could look at is taking some of the components out of what you're offering right now, having a shorter block of time. The ideal thing is to have 3 packages, which is even better. And I just saw this, and it was a thing about, I want to say it was the New York Times, or one of the major newspapers, was offering a online edition, and then they were also offering a print, or maybe it was a magazine, and then they would offer a package of the 2. So what they did is they put prices in on all 3 things, and by doing that, they got a lot more people buying the full package. And they actually made a lot more sales that way. So look at how you can do packages that might allow people to just start with something lower. All right, so there's a lot of different ways and places to do the downsells. So let's look at some of those. All right. So the first of all, is in person. So when you have somebody in your store, maybe you're trying to sell them a set of something. Well, they can't afford the set. Well, they decide that they're not going to do anything. Well, if they're not going to do anything, it's better to downsell them to do something that they can afford. So maybe they're looking to buy furniture for maybe they're looking, let's give an example. So maybe they were going to buy a new mattress. Well, they got looking at the mattresses, and the one that they wanted was so expensive they couldn't really afford to buy it right now. So a good downsell for somebody that says, you know what, we're not going to buy a mattress, you might downsell them to a topper, like one of those nice memory foam things. I have one of those on my mattress, and they're really comfy. So there's a way that you're serving the client. They got this idea in their head. They were going to go look to buy a new mattress. They decided, oh, I didn't know mattresses were that expensive nowadays. And so you're giving them something that's going to help them sleep better. The other places that you want to look at having downsell processes in place are for a telephone script. So when you have people calling in and asking about things, and if people are saying no, it's a good place to do a downsell. So for example, say you have you do makeup for weddings, and your big package offers 5 different components that you're going to do. They're going to get a free makeup. They're going to get a makeup kit with all the colors that you've used. They're going to get a pre-session makeup. You're going to do all the bridesmaids, the mother of the bride, the mother of the groom, and the bride. Also provide her a makeup lesson. So that might be the big kahuna package. Then you would have the downsell of taking out some of those components. Online, this is one that I love, and it's so overlooked. Is shopping cart abandonment. So a lot of times you go online and you're looking to buy something. Maybe you're looking to book an appointment even online, right? There's lots of things that you can do online that leads to a buying experience. Well, if people leave that shopping cart without purchasing or without booking an appointment, one thing that you can do is you can offer a lower upfront appointment with the balance due in a certain number of days. So say, for example, your product was $100, and they put it in the cart, and then they abandoned their cart. What you could do is then say, listen, we'd really like to see you try out this product. What we can do is give you this product for an upfront payment of $20. You can try it for 30 days, and at 30 days we'll charge your card the remaining balance. So it's a great way to get more sales because people want to try things. And that's one of the best ways to learn. One of the best people to learn from are the infomercials. So that's one of the things that they do is they have a trial offer. This would be a good place to do it. Another way is exit pop-ups. When people leave your web page with the product offer, they're going to get a pop-up. And a pop-up is like one of those little boxes that comes on top of the web page, and they'll get an exclusive one-time offer. So, for example, you're going on the page to buy something, and you leave that page without clicking through to the shopping cart, you get a pop-up that says, hey, I see you didn't buy the XYZ product. We have a special offer coupon code of 20%, so you can get the same thing. And then a lot of times they'll do online because a lot of times they don't have a whole bunch of different options. They will have the downsell be the same thing, but it's the regular thing in your store. Like I said, I wouldn't suggest that to keep it the same price for a lower price for the same product or package. The other thing is if it's a physical product online that people are ordering, you could also do an e-product at a lower price. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can do that. So play around with it. All right, so I want you to monetize this strategy. So if you look at the number of leads that you have that say no, what is the potential prospects that you have for downselling, usually in a month or a week, whatever your time frame is? Now, what percent do you think you can convert to a new sale? Where the estimated number of new sales you could make by having this process, your average sale price, and then what would be your profit boost? All right. So here we are at the last strategy. I did, you know, in my when you signed up for this, I said it's 10 low-hanging fruit strategies, but I couldn't limit myself to just 10 because I couldn't choose, and 10 just sounded better than 11. So I added my 11th strategy in here. And the 11th strategy is to increase the number of sales conversations you have. Now, you know, this strategy is simple and easy to implement, but it's also, you know, Jim Rohn, the great motivator, and he was amazing. He always said the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. And you all know as business owners that you want to make more sales, you want to, you know, talk to more prospects, but you don't. And because there's always so many things requiring your attention that it just keeps you from doing the things that you know that you should be doing and need to be doing. You know, and what you're probably thinking is that, you know, I'm already working as many hours as I can. There's an endless list of things that still needs to be done. You know, client follow-up, putting out fires, clients, you know, giving you projects at the last minute, emergencies, everything, right? So I'm going to give you some strategies how to do this and help you do this. All right, so if you look at how much is an average sale, again, that's the number that we came up with at the beginning of the call of today's training. What is the lifetime value of a client? So what I want to do here is really stress the importance of doing this strategy, and that's why we're looking at these numbers again, right? Do you really want to be doing paperwork when you could be going to get another sale, right? Especially when you look at the lifetime average. So how many conversations or presentations does it take you on average to get a new client? So if you talk to 10 leads, how many new clients do you get? How many no's do you get before you have to get a yes? You know, and that's the great thing. If you know how many no's you need to get a, so say you have 10 new leads, and you know that out of 10 new leads you get 5 of them. You know you need to get 5 no's to get a yes, right? On average. What activities are you doing right now that are not related to your business growth? This is the working in the business stuff. So I want you to write a list of these. And I want you to keep working on this after you get off the call. What are the admin things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing? What are the maintenance things in your business that you shouldn't be doing? What is the email checking that you shouldn't be doing? What are the phone calls that you're taking that you shouldn't be doing? If you have people that you manage, what interruptions are you allowing? If you have managers in place, how are you not allowing them to manage their people and getting involved in that, putting out their fires? Okay? So you should have a good list of things that you might be doing, from email to maintenance to, technical things to admin things. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to start to delegate that one item. Okay? And I want you to create a system for it to be done by anyone with the instructions that you provide. Now, one of the things that I did was confirming appointments. That was one of the very first things I delegated, because that was a big profit leak for me. Because what was happening is I had appointments booked with people, and especially appointments booked with leads, right? This is another even step of follow-up that I implemented, is that people wouldn't show up. So I started delegating follow-up calls, so to make sure that the person was going to make the appointment. And I also delegated scheduling appointments. And I created a system just a rough outline, like a little rough conversation that the person should have. And then I improved on it. So I gave it to them. They tried it. And they said, well, then they came back to me with questions. Well, what did I say if somebody wants an appointment at 7 o'clock at night? Well, what do I do if somebody wants an appointment on Saturday? What do I do if somebody wants, how long is the appointment? So you're going to start with the basic instructions, and then you're going to find the questions that come up. Now, when the questions come up, the point is not for you to figure it out. The point is for you to answer the question and then have the person that's doing this new item add that to the system. So they are responsible for updating the system. So, for example, there's some things in the last little bit that have changed in my business. We've changed the way we've done it. So people that are actually implementing it, they're the ones that are changing the system so that they know how to use it, and then if they're on vacation or if they're sick or if they leave the company, then somebody else can step in and do it. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't have any staff. So here's the next thing, is that you can either use somebody in your organization. Because the thing is that you as the business owner should be doing higher level business growth activities. So there's obviously somebody else in your organization that you could be using to do some of these lower level activities instead of you, so that you can be doing the bigger picture items, growing your business. Or you can hire a virtual assistant, or you can hire an intern, or you can hire somebody very part-time. Now, if you don't know what a virtual assistant is, it's somebody that works virtually, so they're not in your office. They are, now there's all different price ranges and qualifications of them, so you need to screen them. If you have any questions on that, you can ask me afterwards in the Q&A. But, start with the one item and get somebody to do it, and you'll see how your time can be freed up for moving on. So once you have that one item delegated effectively, then I want you to choose another one. And then I want you to use the time that you've gained to increase the number of sales conversations. So the point is that the time that you gain in these is not to be used for assorted activities or, going golfing right now. If you need to grow your business, you need to be using that time to increase the number of sales conversations. Now, if you're just doing online marketing, a great use of that time is to use that time to develop joint venture partners or list building. Okay? Now, you might be thinking, oh, I can't use this strategy. Well, the thing is, even salespeople can hire a VA to handle admin, details for them. So even salespeople can get more selling time by bringing in somebody else to help them with their admin stuff, their paperwork. Now, there might be some things like, confidentiality and things like that that you need to address, but it's definitely worth your time to get this handled. All right, so now I want you to monetize this strategy. How many more, like if you got rid of some of these tasks, how many more sales conversations could you have per week? And out of those, what percentage more could you convert to a new sale? Your estimated number of new sales, your average sale, again, this is all in your workbook, and your estimated profit boost. All right, so now we've gone through the 11 strategies here. So let's, how are you going to get results? What's the secret to getting results? Diet and exercise and weekly weigh-ins. You're like, okay, am I still on the right call? I thought we were talking about increasing our sales and profits. Well, it's just like with, when you do a weight loss program, right? The reason that I include this is, a lot of times I see, business owners, they learn the information, they have a great plan. You've been jotting everything down while we're on the plan. It's just like on the weight loss. You know what foods you need to eat. You know what exercise you need to do, right? But then if you don't implement, it's not going to work. So it's just like losing weight. You can have a great program, but not get results. But if you were really honest, so say, for example, you were on a diet and exercise program, and you were really honest and tracked the number of your workouts, the intensity of your workouts. You wrote down every morsel that passed your mouth that you ate. Then you could see that the reason why your results weren't good is because your implementation wasn't good. You can see that you just did half of the workouts that you thought you were going to do. You just saw that you had bigger portions that you want, or you had too many treats that weren't on your plan. You know, and that's why having a personal trainer or a business coach for your business helps you, keeps you honest on the implementation of your plan. Okay? So there, I think there's always a lot of correlations between diet and exercise and business growth. So really, to optimize every profit in your area in your business, you need to not only have the effective strategies, which you've gotten today, and the tactics, but you also have a way to track them and their return on investment effectively. You know, and Chet Holmes, who I work with, he says, people respect what you inspect. So you need to set up daily, weekly, and monthly times to review your implementation. Okay, so let's review. So since we did our break, here's what we've gone over. I want you to look at your ahas and what you've learned in the last hour and a half. So when we came back from break, we did referrals, how to get referrals, who can refer to you, how to implement that, some examples. Strategy number 6, having a sale, and how to do a sale without being getting people used to it, right? How to have an open house, online or offline. How to do follow-ups, which 70% of the people are not doing. Ways to stack it, how to have it work for your most effective lead generation. Strategy number 9, doubling the amount of offers you're doing, and how to do it without being like a pain in the butt, and how to get over that feeling of being you're a pain in the butt. Number 10, downsell. So that's a great way to capture profits that are just leaving. Big profit leak. Number 11, increasing the number of sales conversations you have, which we looked at how you can do that even if you don't think you have the time to do that. So we got rid of that excuse. So I want you to just write down what your ahas were from that. And go ahead and write it in the question section for me so I can see them. All right, I'm seeing some stuff in here. Downselling, follow-ups. You need to follow up 5 to 7 times. Open house, yep, without having it be in your location. Implementation, yeah, you actually need to do this stuff. Good. Good. I'm excited to see all the different stuff coming in. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to create your action plan. All right, which of these strategies are you going to implement and when? Now, here's what I want you to look at. I want you to go back and look at all of your different strategies, and I want you to add up your total profit boost number. And I want you to put it in the question section there. So I want you to pick one of your strategies, by when you're going to do it, and then your total number. More ahas. The open house co-sponsored. Good. Yep, more people on the follow-up. So which one are you going to start with? And when are you going to do it? All right, I see some people are going to start with a follow-up because that's a big profit. Upsells, open house. Well, some people are going to start right now. Some people are going to start tonight, training their staff on some of these concepts. Reactivation. Good. That's a good one. Well, they're all good. It just depends on which one you have the most revenue that you can start with. I'm surprised. The one that I'm surprised with is that I haven't seen people saying is the offer your products and services to somebody else's list and offer their products and services to your list. But some of those, that might not be as low-hanging for some of you yet. Some of these other ones have faster cash. So that's why if you go back and look at your profit booster totals, you can see which one you think would be the biggest profit boost the most quickly. All right. So I'd love to see people put now in their numbers. What is your total number? If you add all the profit boosters together, what is your number that you came up with? And I'll keep those secret so you don't have to worry. All right. So we're going to keep moving along, and then we're going to get to the Q&A. All right. So again, we want to have the total number of profit boosters. And this is what I finish all of my talks with. Everything that I do is remember, don't just learn, implement. And the reason why I end with that is that for years, that was my challenge, that I was the shoemaker without the shoes, that I was learning, but the implementation absolutely sucked. So I don't want to see you guys, suffer with that same thing. So I want to see you guys implementing everything that you've learned. And the best way to implement is one thing at a time. Get one thing completely done and then move on to the next one. All right? So here's some ways to contact me. You can email me at Stacey, S-T-A-C-E-Y, at businessoptimizercoach.com. You can follow me on Twitter, which is Stacey Hyland. On LinkedIn, again, it's Stacey Hyland, and Facebook. Now, you might want to know what's the next step from here, because you have all these strategies. How do you make sure that you stay accountable, that you are putting that money in your pocket and stop those profit leaks? So if you would like to have a one-on-one support with implementing these strategies and want, more strategies to grow your business, then you can email me at strategysession@businessoptimizercoach.com or call me at 1-866-763-0713 to schedule a free strategy session. Or if you raise your hand in the webinar, I can also, that's an easy way to say you would like to have a strategy session. So that's a good way to contact me. All right, so now we're going to open it up for Q&A. I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll go to Q&A. Stacey Hyland from Low-Hanging Fruit Strategies to Rapidly Increase Sales. We're going to start the Q&A right now. I know some of you have been waiting for this and have a lot of questions to answer. So some of you are, I know, listening live via the Internet, so you can't talk. I see a lot of you are logged in via the Internet. in which case you can type your question in and I will answer you. And then if you don't have any background noise, I'm going to try to unmute the lines right now. If you do have background noise, then I'll try to mute you again. But if we can keep it pretty quiet, then people can actually talk and ask questions, which would be kind of cool too. So I'm going to go ahead and open the line, and feel free to raise your hand if you have a question. All right, who's first? Don't all jump at once. Oh, I hear some typing. All right, it says somebody's talking, but I can't hear them. Oh, okay, the earlier, I don't have a mic. Did you see my earlier question? Okay, hold on, let me make this bigger so I can see it. All right, here we go. In the monetization exercises, the average sale, is that the average sale we have now before implementing these strategies, or the average sale we would assume be using the strategies? Okay, good question. All right, so the average sale, well, it depends on the monetization, because some of them are going to be add-ons to your original sale. So, for example, the upsell is, hold on, let me grab my paper here so I can look at the chart for that one. So, for example, the upsell one is the average sale currently, and then the upsell offer, and then the increased sale total. And then on some of the other ones, you're getting new average sales, like your current average sale. So, for example, if you did more follow-ups, it wouldn't necessarily be a bigger sale. It would probably still be your same average sale you have right now. So if you're selling something for $100 and you're now doing better follow-up, then you would just be adding more $100 sales. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay, good. All right, anybody else? All right, let me see. I have a few more of these typed. They're just very small, so it takes me a second to read these. Okay, so I have a question about the offering the clients an additional product or service, which is strategy number 3. And they said, well, how do you figure out what they need? So that's where you do the brainstorm. And the brainstorm is looking at what else they're currently buying. Now, you know, if you're selling, like I gave the example of a web design and they might need video produced. If you're a web designer, you're not going to start selling them something completely unrelated, like delivering water to their office. That doesn't make sense, you know. You want to look at something that's congruent with what you're currently doing, not something completely off the wall. So, for example, video would be a good example, or copywriting might be another example. Something that they already are going to need that's kind of congruent with what you're already doing. All right, I got another question here. What is mobile marketing? Okay. Mobile marketing is marketing to people via text messaging. So that is a new and emerging field. It's getting more competitive every day. It's very good if you have people in your target market that actually use cell phones, which is most of the world right now, but also people that actually text. So if you're marketing to baby boomers, I would suggest that mobile marketing is not an area that I would consider for you. But if you're doing, you know, people that are younger, 30, 40 somethings, that would be a good strategy, because some of them check their text a lot more quickly than they check an email or a mail or a phone call. So, for example, the thing is that when email first started, when you first signed up for your very first email account, you were so excited when you got an email, right? You were like, oh my gosh, I got an email. Now you get an email and you're like, delete, delete, delete. You're trying to get rid of your email. So that's the really cool thing about grabbing strategies that are very cutting edge, is that sometimes you're a little ahead of the edge and people aren't, using it as well. But when you're on the cutting edge strategy there, people are not getting texts right now from companies. So now they're like, oh, cool, look, I got something, that is cool. You're actually getting a text. I mean, a lot, people like that. Now it depends I would check in your locality to see what the legal parameters are of who you can text, because you might have to have permission, just like email. But it's like when email first started, you could email anybody. You could take all the list of your Girl Scout troop and email them. So, just check for your area what kind of permissions you need to market to them. Now, some of the great things about mobile is you can have people subscribe to it just like they subscribe to get emails from you. So people would actually text you to subscribe to get your texts. So they could subscribe to get texts of appointment reminders. They could subscribe to get texts of special offers. And right now that's kind of fun and interesting. All right, I have more questions here. All right, what was the name of the book about working in the business instead of on the business? That is called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Excellent, excellent book. It's a lot of the stuff I help people with in my coaching is in that book, but it's an excellent book. They have it for different industries as well. I think they have an E-Myth for contractors, an E-Myth for a bunch of different types of businesses. Okay. The link for the funny holidays, that I will send out in the post-class follow-up because I don't have it right now. I don't have it. I was going to put it in the PowerPoint, and I totally forgot. So I will definitely get that out to you guys because that's a great way to have a lot of fun. And what I found with my clients is the more marketing we do that's fun, the better results we get. I've had clients that have done direct mail that has fairy dust in it, that was sent out these crazy pens that have wobble heads on it. I mean, just fun stuff. And what happens is people start to look forward to it, and they actually open it despite not even being interested in your product right now. So that gives you a chance to sell them. The other thing that they do is they, if you include things that are fun in your newsletter, they're also going to read your newsletter, which has your offers in it, because it's interesting. Like I have a coach that I worked with maybe 8 or 9 years ago who coaches dentists, which is not my niche, but he had also coached coaches a long time ago. And I still read his newsletter that he sends to dentists just because he always includes a personal column about what's going on with him. Like he's training for a marathon, he went to Italy, he did this, he did that. His kids are graduating. I just want to see what's going on with him. So the more you personalize your marketing, even if you're in a crazy niche, the more people increase their like, know, and trust with you, and the more they open your stuff. All right, a few more questions coming in. All right, the link for my blog. Okay, the blog is www.businessoptimizercoach.com/blog. And that's where you can get that. It's funny, everybody seems to be muted out or doing it via the question thing. I guess when it's long of a call, people like to listen to the thing over the internet instead of holding a telephone. All right, let me see what else I have here. They just show up one at a time, so I can't see them. All right. All right, so somebody asked about, doing the marketing for other people. So the thing is that you're not actually doing the marketing for them. They're actually having their staff usually, send it out in their newsletter or whatever it is. They actually do the technical part, or the stuffers if they're stuffing things. But what you're doing is you're writing the content for them, whether it's a blog post or emails, tweets, Facebook. Again, have personality. Use the direct response marketing principles, which I train people on. You want to make sure that you have an offer in there every time, and you want to make sure there's a deadline, and you want to have a good headline. So use those principles whenever you're doing all of that writing. Okay. All right, about the referrals. What is the qualities you like about working with the client? All right, so if you've identified your perfect client, then what happens is that when you've identified your perfect client, you know there's certain types of clients you like working with. You know there's certain demographics. You know there's certain personality traits. There's all sorts of things that you can identify. So those are some of the things that you're also going to like in the person that you're asking for the referral. So you just want to be really clear on the types of people and the types of companies that you want to work with, so that the more clear you are about asking for a referral, the better referrals you'll get. Other thing, just a bonus tip, is when you're asking for referrals and you get a referral and the referral doesn't work out, which every once in a while that happens, just educate your client and let them know and say, hey, I spoke to Bob, and we spoke about our product or service, but it wasn't really a good fit for Bob, or for me, or whoever it wasn't a good fit for, and just let them know why. It was, he wasn't ready for our product or service yet, or he's not really the demographic we serve. We generally work with people that are baby boomers or whatever it is. So give them a little bit of feedback so that they can give you better referrals. And you also want to, just like when you give people critique, you want to give them like a positive, like the problem, and then a little positive, so you leave them with a happy feeling. Thank them for the referral, make them feel really awesome that they were helping you. Let them know what the problem or challenge was about the referral and how they can refer better. And then, again, thank them again, make them feel good, let them know that you'd love to help any of their other, friends or family or colleagues that they refer to you. All right, the trigger system. Okay, somebody's asking about the trigger system. Okay. What's your question about that? Okay, so your trigger system, I know as a dentist that we talked about the trigger system. Your trigger system isn't necessarily going to be the same as the dentist, but you can have elements that are the same. Like I was explaining, like the intake and welcome process. If you talk about referrals and that'll increase the number of referrals you get, because it lets people know that you want them and that you appreciate them. And then, like I said, if somebody says how surprised they were, how painless it was, there's a pain in your industry. So if it is like, say, for example, you're a doctor and they're surprised that they didn't have to wait to get an appointment, or they're surprised at how you answered all their questions and didn't make them feel rushed. Whatever. A lot of times it has that surprise element of like, wow, I was surprised at how much, the massage helped my headaches, even though it wasn't, you weren't touching my head. Or I was surprised at how long my fingernails lasted, or, whatever it is. Use that as one of your trigger points to remind you and your staff to ask for referrals. And then the other thing was emotions. So when people have positive emotions about your experience, that's another time to ask for the referral, or when they mention how you solved their problem. So again, pain, emotions that they're experiencing, like happy emotions, and when there was a problem solved. Those are great times to ask. And again, remember to also look for testimonials at that time too. Hopefully that answered your whole question. Anybody else? There's no limit on the amount of questions you can ask, so don't be shy. You can ask another question if you just asked one. Because I want to make sure you leave here and you're ready to go. Okay, there's a question about the open house, not at the location. The open house, when you're looking for a location for an open house, it doesn't have to be necessarily, say for example, you're in the, you're a contractor of some type. Well, it doesn't have to be at, necessarily in a place that you've done work, although that is really, if you could do something like that, that would be fun. But you could do it at a place where the other people want those types of clients. So, if it's a restaurant and you're looking to get high-end high net worth homeowners, they might be willing to do, a cocktail party on a slow night. Maybe you do something on a Tuesday night when the business is terrible, or Monday night or something like that, and you have a dessert party or, something like that. So be creative with who you ask, and also be creative with where you might host it. Where can you get the workbook? It should have been emailed to you this morning. If you don't get it, then, somebody said nope, but I don't know what nope was the answer to. What can I get? The workbook. Nope. No workbook. Oh, okay. Well, then, if you didn't get the email with the workbook, then I will have one of my staff. I'll make a note here to give you the workbook. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's probably better because you weren't distracted reading ahead while we were talking. Okay, somebody's asking, we've never done a mass emailing to their clients. How do you suggest we start? Oh, excellent. Excellent question. So what I would suggest is, first of all, is look to see that you have permission from the people that you want to email. You don't want to be spamming. So I would update yourself on the anti-spam laws. Make sure you have a mailing address and stuff like that, so that you're compliant with all of those laws. I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV. And then you could start with a simple system. Do not send it from your email account, like out of your Outlook or out of your AOL account or Hotmail or something like that. You want to send it from your domain name. So like mine come from Stacy at businessoptimizercoach.com, but I'm not sending it through my Gmail or through my Outlook. What I'm doing is I'm sending that through a email service provider, and what I would, not an email, but a mass mailer email provider. So I would suggest something like Constant Contact or iContact, or even Aweber. Actually, you know what? If you want the best one, it's Aweber. That would probably be the one that I would recommend. And Aweber is AWEBER.com. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to input your database in there, usually through an Excel spreadsheet very easily. And then what I would do is look at your strategy, how you're going to, don't email them something to sell them the very first time. Email them something of value, introduce yourself, introduce your company. Look at creating, like, what does your company stand for, and make it interesting. Like, have your family in there. It doesn't matter what kind of company you are. You want to make it fun and interesting to read. So if you're selling, say you're selling, well, tell me what you're selling, and I'll give you an example. And I do know who missed the workbook. So let me just say, do I know? Tell me what industry you're in, and I can give you an idea. Okay, lawn sprinkler systems. Okay, so those are something that's really, and I've worked with a lot of people in the irrigation industry. Irrigation, like people are not saying, oh, I want irrigation, although I do because now I'm going out and watering my plants and stuff and getting attacked by mosquitoes. But they're not thinking about that on a daily basis. So what you want to do is you want to give them something of benefit to them. So what I would do is I would brainstorm about what the problems are of your target market, what their pain points are, what their wants are, and what their dreams are, just so that you have an idea of how to talk to them. And also figure out what your demographic is that you're going after, so that you can talk to them in language that makes sense to them. So it could be, you're so busy, you're driving carpool to soccer practice, ballet lessons, and blah, 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 and you spent all weekend working on making your lawn look nice, mowing it, weed whacking, and this, and now it's all brown and nasty, right? So you want to talk to them in a very, you're understanding what their problems are, but don't make the whole newsletter about lawn sprinkler systems. Make it a broader topic of home improvement, a home beautifying the home. There's some awesome things out there, beautiful pictures. I would definitely suggest Pinterest might be something that you would look at, but look at what else you could give them articles about, like how to cut down on weeds might be something, or how to mix annuals and perennials. Like, what else is it that's interesting these people? Because there's people that are buying sprinkler systems also are doing other things for their homes. Maybe it's a 3-season room that they're adding, or stuff like that. But also put pictures and things in there that they're going to want. Like me, I look at pictures of stuff even if I'm not ready to. I'm like, oh, I love that. I have a whole folder on mine of pools that I've saved. Even though I'm not looking for a pool right now, I have one. So give them some fun stuff and put some personality into it. Of I always have like a little not about me, but a personal reflection section, just like I said about the dental coach. That's letting them know, especially if it's a family business that you have, letting them know a little bit about you. Like your kid just got his new badge at Boy Scouts, and whatever it is, stuff like that. People eat it up. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of to start with. All right. Let me see what we're doing for time. I still have a time for a few more questions. Let me see what else, other questions I have here. Oh, okay. Somebody asked what a virtual assistant is. That is a good question. A virtual assistant is somebody that is like an admin assistant. Some of them handle other tasks as well. I have 2 of them, and they handle different types of tasks. I have one virtual assistant that handles all of my people tasks. So she calls and sets appointments for me. She arranges my calendar. She does my email, checks it if there's anything that needs to be handled, and knows how to respond to things, especially while I'm on vacation. She also, I think I said she confirms appointments. She makes appointments, confirms appointments, speaking engagements, so she'll send out appropriate things for that. And then I have another virtual assistant that does all of my technical stuff. So she does the website. She does the newsletters that go out. She does videos. Well, I do the video, but then she puts the tags and all that stuff in it. So you want to look at some of those tasks. When I looked at what the tasks that, it's not just tasks that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, but it's also the tasks that you should be doing but you're not getting to do. Look at those so that you can look at getting somebody else to help you with that marketing. So, the person that was asking about the email marketing, you should not be the one trying to figure out how to send out the newsletter, and they can be very reasonably priced. And I have one virtual assistant that's based in the U.S. and another company that I work with that's based outside of the U.S. And different people have different things that they work on. And I do have a company that I highly recommend, so if you email me privately, I'd be happy to share that with you. Let's see, who else has questions? All right. Okay, I have a question about the downsell here. And I'm sorry if I'm not answering your questions in order because it's a very little screen, unfortunately, that shows the questions. Um, they're asking, how do you do a downsell without discounting? Okay, so that's a downsell without discounting. What is it? The reason why it's not a discount is because you're not selling the same thing at a lower price. You're giving them a different option. And I truly suggest when you want to get the best results in selling is to have 3 options. You don't want to give them 20 options because that's way too confusing. Or you give them a basic package and they can choose add-ons, or you can choose the lowest package, like the bargain basement thing. But have that figure it out so that when you have somebody that you have an opportunity to do a downsell, that you have it in your brain of what you would offer them. Because that's the problem, is a lot of times you miss that opportunity because you don't have an idea of what you would be able to sell. Like somebody said on here that they would downsell from a 60-minute massage to a 30-minute massage, which is great because sometimes my schedule is so busy and the massage therapist's schedule is so busy, we can't find a spot that I can do a 60-minute massage for in both of our schedules to fit, but I really want one because I have a headache or I've been working like a maniac. So that would be a good option. I can't fit you in for a 60-minute massage this week, but I could fit you in for a 30-minute one tomorrow or today or whatever. But then there's also that opportunity that they have then for an upsell. Like you're selling the 60-minute massage. Well, why not a 90-minute? I love 90-minute massages. It's like the 61-minute ones fly by so fast. And I always mean to book a 90-minute massage because I think about it and I think, oh, I should get a 90-minute massage. It would be so decadent and awesome. But then I don't do it, and then I'm at the 60 minutes saying, oh, I'd just love to have another half an hour. So, look at both sides. Look at the downsell, look at the upsell so that you can be strategic with it. Okay. So, all right, I'm seeing a question. There's a question about the good point. Thank you. So I'm seeing a question here about the upselling on your website. So when you upsell on your website, the thing is that you want to do it, you don't want to give them so many choices that you confuse them, especially if you don't have a lot of leads coming in through your website and sales. You want to get the sale and then do the upsell. Like give them an option. You don't want to confuse them. So GoDaddy does a lot more than I would suggest for you. You don't have to have like 30 upsells. Start with 1 and test it and see how it works. Because you don't want to, they have a saying in marketing that a confused mind always says no. So if you confuse me and I have no idea what I'm it makes it so that I just want to say no because it's too much thought. So make it simple for them. Give them, they're buying a product, they can add this onto it. Don't give them 20 options. And then the other thing you can do is they can add this onto it and then they get to another page and add something else onto it. But you don't want to add too many things on so that you have the shopping cart abandonment either. And that's why you need to do the testing and the tracking. All right, we have time maybe for 2 more questions. Okay, don't be shy. Okay, so the follow-up here, somebody asked about the stacked marketing for the follow-up. A good way to do that, how to organize that, is to create a flow chart. And there's flow chart software online that you can get that's free to use for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of documents, which is a good low-cost way to do it. But you can do a flow chart so you can see, or even a mind map, that you can look at, okay, if the person says yes to an appointment, this is what happens for the follow-up. If somebody says no to the appointment, this is what happens. If somebody says maybe, this is what happens. So that way it's not like this big, long document of like trying to figure it out. You can see at every junction what the next step is, and that way it's very clear. And then you can start to, build out the systems and get it so that it goes out really far. Don't try to build out a follow-up system that's like 12 months out. Start with follow-up to getting the appointment. Then you get the appointment and somebody says no, then start the long-term follow-up process. And you can break them into, two different things. You can have a short-term follow-up and a long-term follow-up. Because the short-term follow-up is probably trying to get an appointment, and the long-term follow-up is probably, just continuing to build the like, know, and trust factor so that they want to consider your product or service. Oh, these are all good questions. Excellent. All right. And what is in the marketing strategy session that I am giving away? The strategy session, it is 30 minutes, and what we'll do is we'll look at what your business is, what your goals are, what some of the profit leaks that you might have. You can ask any questions that you have about what we talked about today that you forgot to ask once we get off the phone. And we'll look at what your plan would be to move forward in terms of what can you do in the next 6 months to a year to help you grow your business. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed sharing all of these low-hanging fruit strategies with you guys. Feel free to put anything in the question box if you'd like to give a testimonial about the stuff that you learned or what you estimated your profit boosters to be. I'd love to hear it. If you want some more support with this, feel free to email me at strategysession@businessoptimizercoach.com or call me. The number is there on the screen. Or make sure you follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. It's Stacy Hyland, because I think there's a lot of stuff that that you can get started with here that you can really boost your profits quickly. So again, don't just learn this stuff, implement it, and I look forward to seeing you again. Make it a great day, everybody. Thank you.